Welcome to The Backlash, a weekly exploration of America's awakening. Thank you all for joining us. I am your host, Rebecca Hargraves, joined as always by Mr. Dave Riley. How you doing, Dave?
Oh, I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm just great.
Wonderful. How was your weekend?
Oh, it was just a beautiful weekend. I am just in the best mood of my life.
Yeah, you are.
She
came in and slapped me on the back, and I almost
so
died.
hard. Yeah, I'm radiating pure joy today. I sound like I'm being facetious, but I'm just.
No, she's really happy.
I'm just in a.
And we're going to be nice about it. We're not going to rub anybody's noses in it.
What are you talking about?
We're not going to rub anybody's noses in it.
My mom's like, don't talk about this publicly. I'm like, I'm not going to. You can find us on X.
Wait, you're not going to introduce Cameron?
Oh yeah, hi Cameron.
Hello, Cameron.
Cameron looking particularly menacing.
What's up, gossip girls?
I know. It is my one true failing. I have many failings, but the gossip it's not great. It's not great. You can find us on X at Real Backlash. Our website, thebacklash.net. Support us on subscribestar.com/thebacklash, patreon.com/thebacklash. Send your super chats that will be read live at the end of our show to thebacklash.net/superchat. Unfortunately, or my YouTube channel. Unfortunately, on Wednesdays, we do $10 and up because otherwise the show just gets too long.
It gets way too long.
It just gets too long. Cameron needs to go night-night.
Yeah. You got to go blanky mode with our friends at
Blanky mode.
ODGG Supply.
Mom's got to send me to bed. That's
Yep.
true.
I do. Follow us on YouTube at Real Backlash, on Rumble, Backlash Podcast.
And by the way, on Rumble, if you see here on the right-hand side, there's a new little button, the tip button. This allows you to send Bitcoin and cryptocurrency to us directly on Rumble using Rumble Wallet, which I've been promoting here for a while. So big shout out to Rumble for integrating Bitcoin. Round of applause.
If you send $5 a month to us, you can get us to our minimum necessary income of $120,000 a year.
Make sure you're subscribed on YouTube. And without further ado, are we ready to go?
Yeah, we're ready to go.
I think we're ready to go.
Let's do it.
Tonight, we've got a very special guest joining us all the way from the Sunshine State down in Florida. The one and only James Fishback is with us. He's running an insurgent campaign against, is it Byron Donalds down there in Florida, and also the lieutenant governor of Florida. So Welcome to the program.
Welcome to the program.
We just found out actually that you had just taped, I guess, with Tucker Carlson. So a big 2-hour interview with you and Tucker is going to be coming out soon.
That's right. Hey guys, great to be here. And yes, it is an insurgent campaign, but I tell you, on the ground, the momentum is real. We had 50 people RSVP for an event just a couple days ago in Tampa. Over 200 showed up, all standing room only. This is a campaign for folks who recognize that the America First movement isn't near the end, it's near the beginning. And I'm in this race to fight for a state that my family has known for 4 generations. We're done handing money overseas. No country is going to be exempted from that. We're done being told that we have to apologize for being anything other than ourselves. And we have to be very serious about the threats that our country faces, not just from big government, but also from big corporations.
Can I ask you,
Very
what
based.
inspired you to transition from a career in finance to running for governor?
Well, gosh, it's when you say transition that way, you almost trigger me with the transgenderism. So my pronouns did not change, but I was running an investment firm, and I've been in the investment world now for the past decade. And I just saw this race as something where I couldn't let this happen to my state. I wouldn't be running if Ron DeSantis could run for a 3rd term. Sadly, he's term limited. I wouldn't be running if firing Donalds was not a feckless America last loser. I'm running because there's no one that has an America First vision, no one who recognizes that, yeah, Florida is the best state in the country. No offense, but that means nothing if the people who made it the best state can no longer afford to live here. And so I'm fighting to make life a little easier and a lot more affordable. President Trump is right. The Democrats have no business using that word like Zoran does, affordability this, affordability that. They're the ones who gave us the worst inflation in 40 years. But I'm running because I have a real plan to make life more affordable. That starts with banning Blackstone, BlackRock, Airbnb, and foreign nationals from buying our home. President Trump took an important step toward that on the federal level, and I'll do that at the state level here as governor. It also means standing up for good paying jobs for locals. Right now, if you're a kid, you didn't study gender studies, but did STEM, science, technology, engineering, math, you can't get a job that was given to H-1B workers from India or China. And so I think the core of affordability isn't just being able to afford to live, but afford to start a family, to marry a God-fearing woman, have God-fearing children, and to live out the full arc of the American dream here.
I hear you use the term America First pretty freely. Do you have a personal association with Nick Fuentes?
I do not.
Right. We have seen you. You donned the America First hat, the blue hat. We saw that. There was a big crowd of people. What is your opinion of Nick Fuentes?
Well, I got to say, I'm a big supporter of free speech in this country. I think if anyone disagrees with something that he or anyone else says, they are free to start a blog, an op-ed, put up a tweet of their own. What I think is most important is that we reject censorship that the left used against us during COVID, during the 2020 election, which I'm sorry, Joe Biden was not free and fair and perfect. So if you have an issue with anything that guy says, then I would encourage anyone and everyone to make your voice known and try not to cancel and to censor and to intimidate. Our country was built on free speech. It's the First Amendment for a reason. And that's, I think, the motive. I mean, Laura Loomer's crashing out right now because Tucker Carlson interviewed me yesterday for 2 hours. And she said that that is somehow anti-free speech. No, that's exactly pro-free speech. I think what we need to do as Americans is welcome political disagreements and not hate one another and be thinking differently from one another.
Right. Now, you have come out with some very interesting policy positions. Correct me if I'm wrong, but Florida's a big investor in Israeli bonds. What is your thought on that? Should we divest from these types of sketchy foreign investments? What should the relationship between the state of Florida and Israel look like?
Well, I would say that any foreign investment is by definition sketchy. And so my view is that Florida should not invest any money in any foreign country. That money should be invested in communities right here from Mariana to Miami, Pensacola to Pahokee. And so it's rather interesting that the Florida State Pension Fund explicitly bars us from buying the government bonds, which is to say lending money to foreign countries, with one exception. We know what that exception is. That's Israel. And so my view was actually that we should just divest from any foreign country and every foreign country. And it turns out the only foreign country that we're allowed to invest in per the state pension funds framework is Israel. Every other country is off limits. So my first executive order as governor, executive order number 1, is to divest the $385 million that was foolishly sent to a foreign country. I don't care if it was Israel, it could be any foreign country. It's coming back home. And then the second we do that, we're starting a $385 million statewide down payment assistance program. We're going to help young married couples buy their first home. If you are a young married couple and one of you is working full time and you've lived in Florida for the last 5 years, there is a $10,000 check with your name on it because you deserve to be able to buy a home. You're doing everything right. You're young, you're married, you've got a full-time job, you're contributing to your community. Why don't we let our people buy homes as opposed to Blackstone, BlackRock, and Airbnb idiots?
Yeah, it's super interesting seeing that. I don't know if you saw Blackstone's stock fell like 5-10% today on the news. I love to see it. Love to see these super financial people suffer, frankly. Especially, someone my age. I'm very lucky. I have a house, but most of the people my age are renting, unable to afford to buy a home, and they're delaying childbirth because they want to be financially stable. Now, what is your thoughts on the white race? What do you think about white people and supporting white people, white identity? What are some of your thoughts on this? Because as you know, with affirmative action, DEI, and all of this, what was the other one? There was DEI and critical race theory. That's it, critical race. There's been a lot of attack on white men for a long time. What's your thoughts on this?
My thoughts are the truth. This country was built by young white men. And the second we stop apologizing for that, we start winning again. As governor, I'm never going to let people, least of all public school teachers, push white guilt on our kids. There's going to be no apologizing from the white kids to the black kids. And there's sure as heck not going to be any teachers telling the black kids that there's something somehow wrong with them. We are all created in God's image. All Americans deserve the ability to go to school, to get a job, and without being discriminated against for the color of their skin. It's interesting that the right has conceded to the left that systemic racism doesn't exist. Rather tongue-in-cheekly, I think systemic racism does exist. It is quite literally systemic, systematic, and codified into law that if you are a white Christian male, you get absolutely nothing. And if you complain about it, you definitely get nothing. And so I think we have to be very honest that the institutions that have been hijacked, yes, by the left, but honestly, they call them the woke right, but I don't want to use any term that could be hijacked by someone else. But let's put it this way. Members of the right who are acting woke, which is to say embracing censorship, embracing identity politics. A lot of people now say that since Jewish people are oppressed, in their words, that we need to incorporate Jewish identity into DEI. No, we need to burn DEI to the ground and actually embrace the meritocracy that our founding fathers started 250 years ago. And that's a system, by the way, where you actually allow people to get ahead and you don't shame a young white man for just being himself.
Do you think it's important for heritage Americans to continue to have a majority stake in this country, like for us to get the population of the United States, the white population of the United States, up to 90% or more?
I think it's important to preserve the identity of heritage Americans. I think it's important to not let us be replaced. The truth is, I don't want to vote for any Republican in 2026. I don't care if we lose the House or lose the Senate or whatever histrionic garbage they're going to push on us. If a Republican wants your vote and he refuses to say that the great replacement is real, do not vote for them. The great replacement is not a conspiracy theory. It is happening every single day in our country. We have to stop it. If we don't, we will lose our country. People like Vivek Ramaswamy have the unmitigated gall, the unfettered intrepidity, and the unencumbered audacity to come here as an anchor baby, not wear shoes, refuse to wear a fork. Wear a fork, he would say wear a fork, use a fork is what we would say. And come here and say that no, the reason why tech companies won't hire you is because white men, you are lazy. You are stupid. You need to get off the couch, as Ben Shapiro told the guest at AmFest, and work harder. No, the system is designed for Americans to fail. There is no hope for Americans right now. There is hope for illegals. They'll get a bunch of free crap. There's hope for the H-1Bs. They'll get a job. There's hope for the multi-billion-dollar corporations. They'll get another great fourth quarter earnings number by screwing over our workers by replacing them with cheap foreign slave labor. There's no hope for actual American citizens. And so my view is very simple. The great replacement of Americans is real. I am running for Florida governor to stop it. And the way you stop it is you actually prohibit employers from, yes, hiring foreign labor that's here illegally, but you need to create an active deterrence from them employing foreign labor that's here legally. I'm sorry, guys. An invasion of our country is an invasion of our country. Whether the Democrats and Republican losers in Washington, D.C. blessed it is irrelevant. The Somalians, and yes, I'm going to keep calling them Somalians, the Somalians are here legally. They need to go. The Haitians that have infested my state are here legally. They need to go. The Afghan refugee sicko who shot 2 of our National Guardsmen one night before Thanksgiving in Washington, D.C., he was here legally. Oh, thanks, by the way, Congressman Byron Donalds and Joe Biden, who passed. Congressman Donalds voted yes on the Allies Act, which in July 2021 lowered the vetting requirements for Afghan sickos to come into our country on the slanderous lie that they somehow helped us in Afghanistan. No, the only ones who helped us in Afghanistan were the men and women in uniform from all over my state and across this country who went there to serve our nation. And so enough with the idea that foreign labor, if it's legal, it's allowed to be here. As Florida governor, I'm going to tell any company, large or small, that if you have a state contract and you have H-1Bs, you no longer have a state contract. They're having a letter on the first day, and there's going to be no negotiating. You either get to keep your state contract worth $20 million, or you get to keep your state-issued H-1Bs. Your choice, no negotiating. We have to play hardball with these companies because in their mind, they love the foreign labor because they can work them double, pay them half, and if they screw up, they can just deport them. They don't want to deal with pesky Americans who want things like maternity leave and not to work on Sunday because in Florida, we worship an awesome God. No, they want to screw over workers, and that's not the way the system works. For the longest time, these last couple of years, we've had CEOs in the Chamber of Commerce tell us that, no, Americans don't want these jobs. That's a lie. Americans don't want these jobs at the below market slave wages that you're insisting on paying them. Americans will always work for an honest day's wage every single time. But these companies don't want to do that. They're obsessed with GDP and their stock price and earnings per share. They don't want to do the right thing, which is to pay a market-based wage to our workers. As Florida governor, I'll make sure that everybody in our state earns a market-based wage. And that means pushing out companies. I'm happy to do it.
Based. Very based. Now, we've got, this is kind of a longer question to set this up real quick. I've got a clip here from an interview that you did just prior to announcing your run for governor that we're going to play really quickly. Hopefully you can hear it.
Observed on X recently, there was somebody who had seen a number of your interviews on our program, and you've been hitting the media circuit a lot lately, and they said you were somebody who had the values and the vision and the ideas they'd love to see in the governor's mansion in Florida. So, James Fishback, are you thinking about running for governor in the Sunshine State?
Matt, Florida has been my home since the day I was born. I grew up in South Florida. I live in the Panhandle now. This state has given me so much. And I'll tell you, Governor DeSantis is an extraordinary leader for the last nearly 8 years, has created something that has been the envy of not just America, but the world. And I think whoever replaces Governor DeSantis should be able to preserve and build on that legacy. I'm thinking about it, not going to make any news tonight, Matt, but I'm going to talk more with leaders across our state, Republicans and even Democrats, to get a better sense of what direction they want the state to go in. But I got to tell you, we got to preserve what Governor DeSantis did in Tallahassee and for everyone in the Sunshine State.
So just out of curiosity, everybody's talked about how Ron DeSantis, what he did during COVID and, giving officers the ability to fight back against BLM and making it a conservative stronghold. But Governor DeSantis has also done a number of things that I find kind of problematic. God bless you. One of these things is this legislation that the governor, he flew to Israel to sign a bill to further combat anti-Semitism. He's also released statements saying, quote, Nazis are not welcome in Florida. He gave that to an interview with the Algerminer. He also added a definition of anti-Semitism to Florida law, namely the IHRA definition of anti-Semitism, which basically means that any criticism of the state of Israel, comparing Bibi Netanyahu to Nazis, comparing what they're doing to the Palestinians in Gaza, to the Holocaust and whatnot, basically making all of that textbook definition anti-Semitism. He also has a very wide-ranging bill that was signed into law. I think just in 20, well, started in 16 and was expanded in 2025, a BDS law, an anti-boycott, divestment, and sanction law. This, of course, kind of shoehorns in to what you were talking about from divesting from these Israeli bonds. I guess my question is, what's your real thoughts on DeSantis? Will you condemn these actions? Will you condemn the anti-Semitism bills that he has signed into office? Are you willing to call him out?
Well, what I'm willing to do as Florida governor is I will never enforce any of those laws because they're blatantly unconstitutional. To criticize the Israeli government is protected under the First Amendment just as it is to criticize the American government. The idea that you could be arrested for criticizing President Trump, really? I mean, that's clearly protected speech. And so if that's protected speech, calling Bibi Netanyahu a war criminal or a depraved world leader would also be protected under the First Amendment. And so I think as conservatives, as Americans, we should condemn all forms of religious hate. But I'm not going to sit here and pretend that criticizing Israel, criticizing Netanyahu, which clearly deserves plenty of criticism on any given day of the week, that somehow is illegal and you could be convicted of it. The sad part is that state statute 10105 is exactly what the left would have done if they were in power with a different identity group. I'm running because no one should be punished for criticizing our government or any government. So to come full circle and answer your question, I'll never enforce those laws as governor. The chief executive is in charge of enforcing the laws that the legislature passes. I would not have signed those into law if I were governor at the time. I won't enforce them if I am governor, and I'll work with the legislature to repeal them because they're blatantly violating First Amendment.
Do you think that this is a reflection on DeSantis' allegiances?
Not necessarily, actually. To get into some inside baseball, that bill was introduced by none other than Randy Cheez-It Fine, and I call him Cheez-It Fine because he called me a couple weeks before I ran and yelled at me, and he was clearly eating a box of Cheez-Its. I know that because I ate Cheez-Its a lot in middle school, and I can distinguish that between that and Pringles and other Ritz crackers. But the point of the matter is that the inside baseball is that bill was universally passed by Democrats and Republicans. And so had the governor not signed it, the Republican House, Republican Senate would have just passed it on their own. And so I'm not going to sit here and, play Monday morning quarterback. I respect the heck out of Governor. I think it's quite interesting, by the way, that when Netanyahu was here just a couple weeks ago, quite literally here in Florida last week, the 5th visit to this country since Trump took office for a second time. That doesn't make any sense on why that would be the case, but irrelevant, that the governor did not meet with him. In fact, someone by the name of Jay Collins, we call him JPAC Collins, he met with him in a very slobbering way. And then shortly after, a video resurfaced of Jay Collins saying that you don't have a First Amendment right to hurt people with your words or to criticize Israel. And so it's rather fitting that someone like Jay Collins would immediately meet with Netanyahu and then double down that any sort of criticism of the Israeli government is not protected by the First Amendment. I want to make it very clear. If Jay Collins is elected governor, he will arrest tens of thousands of Floridians for criticizing Benjamin Netanyahu. And that is a real threat to the liberty of our state.
Yeah, and this is this photo is actually just from a couple of weeks ago. Jay Collins standing there with Governor DeSantis at a Hanukkah celebration. James, you're a Catholic. We're Catholics. What is your thoughts on Catholics attending Hanukkah celebrations? Is that something that you would do as governor?
My thoughts are that I would never attend any other religious celebration or service other than that of my unapologetic Christian faith.
Very based.
I just wouldn't do it. I also, as a Catholic, I would never attend a gay wedding. I would never validate something that I view and that the Bible views as sinful. That's just who I am, and that's, I think, who Christians are. And I think if we're going to play games and show up to Hindu temples and Hanukkah parties, that's just not something that I'm going to do. What I've actually said that I'm going to do is I'm going to work to overturn the disastrous Supreme Court decision Allegheny v. ACLU, which banned nativity scenes. My 5th executive order as governor is going to be to commission large nativity scenes put on by local parishes at government buildings all across the state, state-owned government buildings. And when the ACLU or CARE tries to sue us in federal court, We welcome that, and we will win at the U.S. Supreme Court, because if there's one thing that President Trump has given us, it is 3, depending on the day, maybe 2 consistently conservative Supreme Court justices. And so I look forward to installing nativity scenes that celebrate the fact that Christ is our King, that he was born during the Advent season, and that is something that we are going to do. We are not going to apologize for our Christian heritage as a state.
Now, another question is, because with all of this legislation that has been passed, and like I said, this thing that he flew all the way to Israel to sign, it wasn't just DeSantis. There was like a whole team of people behind him, including a woman, I think her name is Christina Pushaw. What are your thoughts of Christina Pushaw? Does she have any connections or a relationship with your campaign?
She doesn't. I found Christina to be a friend. I had dinner with her a couple months ago and stayed in touch with her. What I would say is that the DeSantis administration, by and large, has been an incredibly successful operation. I think there's always going to be disagreements within the staff about how something is done or why it wasn't done a certain way. But I would judge the governor by what he's done for our state consistently in education, especially during COVID. And then on the Israel question, I certainly would not have met with Netanyahu like Jay Collins did, and neither did the governor. The governor passed up that meeting. Sounds like Jay Collins took up the RSVP invite because he's an ankle fighter and he wants all the attention he can get. But there will be no Fishback administration meeting with any member of the Israeli government under any condition. We have no business going there, meeting with them. Here's the fact. The first country that I'm going to visit as Florida governor is going to be Brazil. We sell them $19 billion worth of stuff. They're our number 1 trading partner. And I would want nothing more than to come back to my state and say, we have a trade deal that creates 5,000 great paying jobs over the next decade for high school grads, local people in the aerospace manufacturing field. That's what a governor should be doing abroad. I can tell you right now, Jay Collins will be in Israel every 6 months if he is elected governor, because he has an allegiance to that country. And look, our pledge is very simple. One nation under God. That is this nation under our God. And if you pledge allegiance, if you show up to other foreign countries and meet with their foreign leaders and do their biddings by enforcing anti-Semitism, anti-free speech laws, you have no business serving a state of 23.5 million people.
Now, I know that we're on a little bit of a time crunch. We said that we'd only keep you for 30 minutes. Just a couple of last minute questions here. So for this interview that you did with Matt Gaetz, I think you were at the Four Seasons Hotel when you filmed that. Was Christina Pushaw in the room with you when you did this interview?
She was, actually. Yeah. So we had dinner together right before that. And I stepped away to do a interview with Matt Gaetz. That's actually in the lobby. There's like a little cafe at the end of the lobby there. And so Christina was with me. I stepped away and then we went back to dinner.
Okay, very interesting. And I think there was one more thing. Yes. Asking on behalf of our good friend, Richard Spencer, I haven't filled out the multiple choice on this. He wants to know what's going on here. Is James Fishback Persian, Jewish, Arab, or Latino? What should I fill out in this form?
I'm American. I am unapologetically American. My father was born and raised in Florida. My grandfather fought in World War II and ran cattle and taught computer science at FAU. My great-grandfather fought in World War I. So the Fishbacks have been here since the mid-1700s. I'm proud of the fact that we are not apologetically American and conservative family.
Very based. And then last question. Will you pledge right now on the Backlash?
Whoa. Right now?
Right now.
I didn't get a heads up. What is this pledge?
Will you pledge to never sell your email and voter registration list to the Ron DeSantis campaign in 2030?
I will never sell my email registration list to any presidential campaign in any year of any political campaign.
Well, I mean, I guess specifically if he's attempting to run for governor again, because as well, probably not we all, right? There's a lot of people on this show that aren't aware that Florida has a term limit thing. He served 2 consecutive terms as governor. He is term limited out. He can't run again, which is why he's running Byron Donalds. But it seems like he wants to run again in 2030. So there's been some talk that perhaps you are appealing to the young Groypers and attempting to bring them on board in order to deliver them up to Ron DeSantis in the future. That's
a very interesting theory that has a number of holes in it. I fully anticipate running for governor in 2030 for re-election. I would not sell the email addresses of any candidate to any candidate, any race, anywhere.
What is the polling looking like? Because I know that, where is it? I had it here somewhere. Where did it go? Here it is. According to internal polling from your campaign, you were leading Byron Donalds 43-29, but according to other sources, it says that you're polling only about 2% statewide in a different poll.
Yeah, I polls, as we learned in 2016 and 2020 and 2024, they're really, really wrong. So I'm not going to sit here and say because an internal poll from our campaign had us up by 10, that we're up by 10, or that a poll that was commissioned by Byron Donalds, the 2% poll, means that we're at 2%. I think the only poll that matters is on August 18th, 2026. And that's why if you're a Republican now, or you're an independent or a Democrat, but you're aligned with the America First movement, the number one thing you can do right now is register as a Republican so you can vote in the primary. The truth of the matter is that the next governor of Florida is going to be a Republican. That's just a mathematical certainty. And so if you wait until November to vote, you've allowed yourself to be disenfranchised by our closed primary system. My advice to anyone is if you want to have a say in who our next governor is, who will definitely be a Republican, you got to vote on August 18th. It's me or the APAC slave Byron Donalds. It's me or the pro H-1B Byron Donalds. It's me or it's the guy who wants to turn the citrus groves and the cattle ranches into AI data centers. That is the choice. It's not about the who, it is about the what.
Yeah, no, this is something that I've been on. We've been trying to get Rebecca to be politically active for a very long time. She's been refusing to vote in the local elections.
I will not. Women shouldn't vote. I'm not voting.
Listen, I'm a man. I'll tell you how to vote.
No.
If your husband won't tell you how to vote, I'll tell
only
you how
have
to
to be
vote.
submissive to my husband. I can tell you to get wrecked. I'm not voting.
But
you can't make me.
we have a big thing. And so while we have an audience here, there is a big deal coming up. And I've been advocating for a revolution in the Republican Party. The way that the Republican Party works, there are precinct committee officers. And if you don't run for those positions, Zionists will get them. And we will see a thoroughly controlled Zionist Republican Party if people don't get involved. So anyway,
He has a heart
James,
out.
thank you very much. It's been 30 minutes. God bless you.
Thank you so
and
much for
good
joining
luck.
us.
Thank you guys. Really appreciate it.
All
Bye-bye.
right. Let's see here. Now I've got to do some screen shifting. Thank you very much for coming on.
I don't trust him.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting with all this stuff because for those of you who watch the show and are aware of some of what I have been up to here in Idaho, I ran for governor back in 2022, and when I was running, it was not to win; it was to prove a point. It was to send a message that there's something called crossover voting happening. And because I basically created a giant distraction by running for governor as a Democrat, we forced Democrats that were registered as Republicans to go back into the Democrat Party, and we got 2 state representatives elected because of that. And there are a lot of questions about Fishback and where he comes from with the private equity stuff that he's involved in. With this, he admitted that Christina Pushaw was with him.
You need to tell the audience why that's important.
It's
though.
important because she's involved with the DeSantis campaign. And right now, Byron Donalds and DeSantis are at odds with one another. And, this whole Jay Collins and Israel thing, right? If there is going to be a non-Israeli Republican in the state of Florida, well, then you wouldn't want Jay Collins to win either. But at the same time, in 2030, when the DeSantis campaign is going to be able to run another campaign, the Groypers are going to be even bigger and even more influential in 2030 than they are today. And so there are those out there, people like me, who have worked in campaign strategy, where this could serve as a testing ground, as a way of wargaming how to electorally defeat Groypers, as a way of, putting people up as proxies. They're running Nick Fuentes' talking points, And they're going to basically pen test. They're going to try to see what works against a Groyper. How can we defeat these talking points? How can we defeat the America First movement and push everybody back to a Ron DeSantis rhino republicanism?
Boy, his answers sure were slick.
They were very slick,
Yeah.
and his presentation is very good.
It's very
He's a very
good,
good speaker.
yeah.
But man, I don't know. Endorsement withheld until further notice, but he gives all the right answers.
Yeah, he does.
He does give all the right answers.
I just don't trust politicians.
I don't either.
The way he was able to pivot with the DeSantis thing and not making it personal was expert.
Yeah, he did not condemn DeSantis.
He would not condemn DeSantis. Did we lose Cameron?
No, Cameron's still here.
Why do I see so many of me?
Oh boy, maybe we did lose Cameron.
What's happening?
Wait, let's do that again.
I hate it.
That's so funny. Well, Cameron will be back hopefully in a moment. I think he might have just turned off his video camera.
And
there he is. He's back.
And I have to wonder why he took this interview.
Well, and it's interesting too, right? He went on Beards and Beardly.
Right.
He went on, I think, something called The Gray Area. He's obviously going on Tucker Carlson. He is very clearly making all of the rounds with all of the dissident people and attempting to co-opt as many of them to endorse him as possible. And again, imagine think about this, right? Just today, Fishback put out this tweet: as Florida governor, I will shut down every abortion clinic in the state. This is equivalent of sticking your dick in a giant hornet's nest because these women are crazy.
Yeah.
And it's frankly not a popular campaign plank. I mean, there's a lot that needs to get done. And obviously we're all against abortion and we want to shut it down. But like here in Idaho, we've shut down abortion. We got rid of all of it. There isn't a single Planned Parenthood in the state. And we've criminalized people trafficking minors out of the state to get abortions. And we did all of that without the governor. We did that with the legislature. So for him to come out as governor and poke the bear like this, he's going to get all the women against him. He's got the Jews against him. And it's not like Florida's little Israel. Come on. So I'm skeptical as to whether or not he can win. And if he is attaching himself involuntarily to Nick Fuentes in a way that, what's Nick supposed to do?
Right.
He can't do anything.
Yeah.
I mean, he went and put on the Nick Fuentes America First hat. He associated himself with Nick. And so if he intentionally loses the campaign by doing these extremely unpopular things like coming out and saying that he's going to, totally eradicate abortion, blah, 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 and he fails, well, then the Republican consultants can go back to their people. They can go back to Ron DeSantis and see, look, Groyperism isn't that popular. You can't win elections as an America First candidate. Scrap it and let's go back to what works. And I'm concerned that there could be a play like that going on here.
I know. Cameron, what's your analysis?
I mean, look, I don't know much about Mr. Fishback. He seemed to answer your questions relatively fluidly, but I don't regard much of what he said as very substantive. I don't think it moves the needle, and I strongly disagree with Dave Riley, and I have from the beginning. The Republican Party is a dinosaur. It needs to die. It's shamelessly corrupt. It will never change. The Groypers are an expression of the future, and that's the direction that we have to go in. The rest of it, I can't speak to. I will say that Florida is one of the most corrupt states in the United States,
Indeed.
Unfortunately. And in order to become governor of that state, you have to capitulate to two lobbies, one being the South Florida Cuban lobby, and the other being the South Florida Jewish lobby. That's just the way it works down there. Yeah. So given that landscape, what should we expect? I don't think we should expect very much.
Amen. Yeah. And of course, I've got this up on the screen. I didn't play this. And to be very fair to Mr. Fishback, he did deal with this particular instance on Beards and Beardly's stream, and he gave a good answer about it.
Of course he did.
He did write for the Free Press and was very close with Barry Weiss and very close with the DeSantis
Perhaps
campaign.
I'm being uncharitable, but I get strong snake vibes.
Listen, my big thing is that as dissident right, alt-right, white right, whatever you want to call us.
We've been down this road before.
Whatever name you want to call us. The thing is that we have been so under-marketed to, so under-pandered to. We have been ignored and systematically, like look at what the FBI has done to people on our side. We did this interview on Monday with Christian Secor, who basically got black-bagged after January 6th. And so, there are a lot of people out there that see somebody giving air to our grievances, somebody that's agreeing with us, somebody that has all of our positions, and we just fall over ourselves to endorse them, to say that this is our guy and whatnot. And I'm just saying, like, these politicians, these campaign consultant companies, they can be extremely fucking snaky.
Yeah.
And they can skin suit you, and they can make it look like they are your guy, and they are not. And I don't know about Mr. Fishback. I don't know what, where, how, that time will tell. Time will tell. So, hey, listen, if you're in Florida, keep an eye out for his campaign, but also be aware that they're making lists. He is making a list. He's got an email list going. So
I'll just say one other thing. Back in 2022, I went down to Florida in part it was a fact-finding mission. I was looking for investment in my company at the time, but I was also hearing lots of folks talk about Florida as the lodestar of right-wing politics in the United States. This is what I've heard. Some people still believe that. And so I was curious to go down and discover what Florida was all about. And I actually lived in Miami for about 6 months. And there aren't too many gringos like me living down in Miami, let me tell you. But what's vitally important to understand, and I spoke about this a couple episodes ago when we were talking about Venezuela, which we're going to talk about more in just a moment, but there is a deeply entrenched power structure down in Florida. It's no accident that Mar-a-Lago, which is where the president has his personal residence, tends to host events and entertains guests, a lot of whom are from the South Florida area. People like Epstein, who happened to live in West Palm Beach, not all that far from the president. In addition to that, the South Florida element is extremely influential in foreign affairs. And part of the driving force to this fiasco that's happening overseas are people like Marco Rubio who emanate from that world. All that is to say that the future of American nationalism is where Dave Riley and Rebecca Hargraves are. It's in the Mountain West. It is not in Florida. Florida is absolutely a conquered territory. And that's why when you go down there, what people will say is the farther north you go, the farther south you go. They have a massive immigration problem down there. They have a massive identity disaggregation problem down there, which is a fancy way of saying you got a lot of Latinos that are orchestrating a lot of power in this country to do things that have nothing to do with our interest. And that starts at about Orlando and goes all the way down south. In other words, we've got to look elsewhere for the future of this country, for a new movement, for a new party, all of the things that we've talked about on the Backlash.
And listen, before we close out this segment, I must give a very special toast to our good friend.
Is that Merlot?
No, this is Cabernet Sauvignon. It's one of my favorites by Juggernaut. But I've got to give a very special toast to our friends Benny and Basil for helping with the research and all of this that we've done with the James Fishback interview. Cheers, Basil. Thank you for the help.
This is making me want to watch Sideways again.
Very nice.
The greatest film ever made.
Okay, and with that, shall we discuss?
Let's talk about Venezuela.
What the fuck happened in Venezuela?
I know, right?
Holy shit.
I'm so interested to hear Cameron's take. We hardly talked about it offline because I think he's going to reassure me. I've been losing sleep over this situation, and it might not be that big of a deal. Okay. U.S. forces, everybody knows this, attacked Venezuela, seized Maduro. Did you see the picture of his wife today?
With the black eye.
Yeah.
Right? Hold on. Let me see if I can pull that up.
I don't know why I didn't link
What's
that.
her name? Maduro wife?
Celia Flores.
Celia Flores.
as well as his son, two political leaders, and an alleged leader of an international gang. They were charged with crimes related to terrorism, drugs, weapons. Did you get it up?
No, hold on.
How did this happen?
I saw it on X, I think. Let me put Celia Flores.
There she is.
Ah, there it is. Look at this. Look at this. She does not look happy. Look at the jowls. They don't have facelifts
That's
down
what you're
in Venezuela?
noticing. That's what you're noticing about this.
Yeah, that happens to women.
Let's see what Trump says about the raid, his incoherent commentary on this. This is clip number 1.
And it was an amazing military feat
looks
that
unwell.
took place yesterday. Think of it, an amazing military. The people are saying, well, thank you.
Oops.
You know, people are saying it goes down with one of the most incredible. It was so complex. 152 airplanes, many. Talk about boots on the ground. We had a lot of boots on the ground. But it was amazing. And think of it, nobody was killed. And on the other side, a lot of people were killed. Unfortunately, I say that, soldiers. Cubans, mostly Cubans, but many killed. And they knew we were coming, and they were protected, and our guys weren't. You know, our guys are jumping out of helicopters, and you're not protected, and they were. But it was so brilliant. The electricity for almost the entire country was, boom, turned off. That's when they knew there was a problem. There was no electricity. Caracas said, there's no electricity. It's not the only people with lights were the people that had candles. It was just off.
Oh, hilarious.
So we sort of got him a little by surprise, but it was brilliant tactically. It was an incredible thing. But I watched where Schumer, he's such a bad guy. I mean, I've known the guy for a long time, and he's such a bad guy. You know, at some point they should say, you know, you did a great job. Thank you. Congratulations. Wouldn't it be good? I would say that if they did a good job. Their philosophies are so different. But if they did a good job, I'd be happy for the country. They've been after this guy for years and years and years. And, you know, he's a violent guy. He gets up there and he tries to imitate my dance a little bit. But he's a violent guy. And he's killed millions of people. He's tortured. They have a torture chamber in the middle of Caracas that they're closing up.
We thank you for watching.
Okay,
and
before
remember,
we
stay
get-
updated on breaking news and
I know, right? Before we get into the indictment, which I don't want to cover too heavily, but Cameron, what legitimacy did the Maduro regime have? This is widely debated. I wanted to hear your take on this before we get into it.
Well, it's a false premise, right? Because we're talking about a region of the world, that being Latin America, that has been persistently unstable. And again, we talked about this a couple episodes ago, but whether you go back to the Spanish empires or you go back before them, or you follow from about 1820, around then is when Mexico becomes independent, you're talking about an extremely unstable, volatile, and tumultuous region that really hasn't been effectively governed for a long time. And to the extent that it has been governed, it's largely been folks like Maduro. Now, all that being said, what we tend to do in the United States is what I would say is the Karate Kid level of analysis. Our guy is Daniel LaRusso.
Oh.
No.
Oh, no. Cameron. We've got internet issues, it seems.
That's okay.
Cameron will be back shortly.
Should we get into
bring
the
him back up.
analysis by gray zone of the indictment? Would you like to talk about
Yeah,
that?
absolutely.
Why don't you pull up 2 for me,
Let's see here.
young sir?
Absolutely. There you go.
I'm high on the Fishback interview because I thought it was going to get more contentious.
No, because there's no reason to be contentious, but we want to vet him,
We
It's
do.
like
We
I
do
don't
indeed.
want to just see a guy that says like a couple of base things and then all of a sudden like bow down to him,
Right,
we've been at this for a long time and people need to earn trust. People need to earn
We've
our
seen
vote.
this movie before.
Yeah, exactly. And by the way, speaking of earning your vote and whatnot, I was talking with somebody because there is a big push now for people to abstain from voting as a protest. If you are going to engage in that kind of behavior, and I think that you should, weaponize your vote. But don't just not show up to vote. Go there, pull out your ID, get the ballot, and leave it blank. leave the ballot blank. Number one, it will totally screw up the vote counters. They won't understand what's going on. But number two, there's no way to measure how dissatisfied people are with the government if we just stop showing up to vote. So if you're going to weaponize your vote by abstaining from voting in federal elections, go get your ballot, vote local, and leave the rest blank.
That's great advice.
Cameron's back. Cameron, please continue.
I'm sorry, folks. I'm having internet problems tonight, so we'll have to manage it the best way we can. Where did I leave off?
Within the first 30 seconds.
You were detailing all of the conquests you've had in your life. That's
Okay, well, I'll try to be a little bit less long-winded than I am. The short of it, I think your question, Rebecca, was how legitimate is this intervention? What kind of organic support did Maduro have? And I began by saying that Latin America is a very fraught place. It's been persistently unstable for a long time. Okay, got it. We understand that. We tend to adhere to, in this country, a Karate Kid level of analysis, right? So our guy is Daniel LaRusso and their guy is Cobra Kai. This is how we tend to operate. And unfortunately, that's just not the way the world works. Most countries around the world, including ours, are very complicated. You're going to find people that hate Maduro, that want him gone, a lot of whom live in South Florida. You're going to find a lot of people who feel differently. It all really depends. But the world that Maduro comes from is what's called Chavismo. And Chavismo goes back to Hugo Chavez. And Hugo Chavez is really part and parcel for what you get across Latin America. And that is a kind of festering populism against not just foreigners from abroad, Yankees from the north, or Europeans more generally, but also a kind of blancomiento. And blancomiento, for those of you who don't know, means whitening. But what it really refers to is a kind of classicism that is orchestrated by a tiny minority of white folks or peoples of European descent that tend to dominate or have dominated a lot of Latin America for a long time. That's essentially how a lot of these places have been governed. And Hugo Chavez led a revolution against this. You could argue that Castro did too, to some degree, in Cuba in 1959. This has been a persistent theme, and it is very definitely a racial conflict, because if you look at Hugo Chavez, you look at Maduro, they do speak for the broader masses of Venezuelans in this case, who tend to be more ethnic. They tend to be more Amerindian, and they wanted to nationalize control of their resources. They didn't want foreigners or a tiny minority of people who they don't consider legitimately Venezuelan to monopolize control and power. So in that sense, Maduro has a lot of legitimacy, has a lot of support. And I think it's noteworthy that even the Trump administration acknowledged this, because they didn't regime change. They knew that getting rid of Maduro was a risk, in part because he does have that support, because he does represent Chavismo. So they opted not to disrupt the regime to the extent that that we're watching this today. So I think the answer to your question is it's mixed, but he has enough legitimacy that we didn't tear apart the regime, and that says a lot.
So do you think this is reflective of our understanding of their governing style? Because for me, this is reminiscent of Libya and Gaddafi, which seemed as though we did not understand the governing style or the popular support for Gaddafi. So do you think that there is this understanding because we did not regime change in this situation?
No, there is not. This is a goat fuck, and I apologize for using such vulgarity, but that is what it is. There's a document that was written. It's called U.S. Interventions: What For by John Coatsworth. Dave, if you can find it, I recommend that you bring it up. This was an analysis of America's role in Latin America going all the way back to the Spanish-American War in 1898. And what he found, I'm going to read some of this to all of you so you have some historical context here, is that from 1898 to 1994, so basically a 100-year period, the U.S. government has intervened successfully to change governments in Latin America a total of 41 times, or once every 28 months, for an entire 100-year period. Now, he goes forward and talks about how he qualified that, there are more interventions than 41. He sort of filtered out a lot of interventions that were less than successful. For example, the Bay of Pigs, which was a catastrophe under the Kennedy administration that's well known. There are many, many, many regime changes or assassinations or elections that we fixed. But this is the key takeaway, folks. Why? Why has all of this happened? Well, he has an answer. He says, and I quote here towards the end, he says effectively that the reason why we intervened in this region was because of a combination of domestic political competition and potential future threats, even those with a low probability of ever materializing, appear to explain most of the 20th century U.S. interventions. And then he finishes, it is difficult to escape the conclusion that U.S. interventions did not serve U.S. national interests well. They generated needless resentment in the region and called into question the U.S. commitment to democracy and rule of law in international affairs. In other words, we intervened in almost all of these cases, not because there was an existential threat to us. That was summarily dismissed or refuted, largely by the CIA. We did not intervene because of geopolitical chess. We intervened because of domestic politics. And ladies and gentlemen, that is what this is all about. My guess is, and I don't know this to be sure, but anecdotally and through various reports that I can glean, this intervention in Venezuela was largely motivated by Marco Rubio's influence in the Trump administration. Remember, at the moment, Marco Rubio is both the Secretary of State and he is the acting national security advisor. So he exerts a lot of influence over the president. And he has wanted to regime change Maduro for some time. And now there's open talk about potential regime change in Cuba as well, which is really what Marco Rubio's personal vendetta is all about. Why did Donald Trump go along with this? This is the key takeaway, in my opinion. Donald Trump is a bully. That's very clear. He is a bully. Worse than that, he's a narcissistic bully. Worse still, he's a narcissistic bully who is increasingly senile. Donald Trump is facing a lot of pressure right now. His poll numbers are falling. The economy is a mess. His MAGA agenda is stymied. In many cases, I think it's an outright failure. Without question, the tariffs have been a failure. There is not a normalization of relations with the Russians. He did not end the war in Ukraine, and we're on the verge of striking Iran all over again. All that is to say that with his own base, the America First MAGA cohort, if that's what you want to call it, he's losing airspeed and altitude. So what does he do? He lobbies for some kind of a publicity stunt that can give him a short-term win, that can get some juice back in his campaign and maybe distract everybody from the total disaster that is his campaign or his administration domestically in the United States. That's what this is all about. And as evidence for my claim, all one has to do.
All one has to do.
Okay, somebody remember that so that when he comes back on, we can.
I don't want to get too into the weeds on the indictment because it's so obviously insane. So please read this Blumenthal analysis of the indictment. He just rips it apart. There's so much vague. What's the word I'm looking for?
Well, I mean,
legalese.
the whole thing is just like it is. And we should get it when Cameron gets back. We'll probably get into all of our like personal takes on the Venezuela thing. But like we charged him with possession of having machine guns and conspiracy to acquire machine guns, and it's like, isn't this America? Don't we have a Second Amendment?
Right. Blumenthal says, finally, the prosecutor stacked the indictment by charging Maduro with possession of machine guns, a laughable offense which could easily be applied to hundreds of thousands of gun-loving Americans under the antiquated 1934 law. He also says, in its bid to convict Maduro, the DOJ will undoubtedly struggle to overcome the conclusion it reached in an April 7th, 2025 memo by the ODNI that the Venezuelan leader did not control TDA, which he effectively dismantled through a massive 2023 military police raid on the Tocoron prison that served as the gang's base of operations. So these conclusions that we're levying, these charges that we're levying they're easily dismantled. And we didn't care in Honduras. We didn't care in Ecuador when the ties to government officials were much stronger, much more proven, when there was much more evidence. So I think everybody can look at this and say, this is not about drugs. Cameron.
And I was just to put a bow on the "this is not about drugs" thing. There was a clip that I saw Blumenthal posted here, and here it is. We're not going to watch the whole thing, obviously, but like the first 30 seconds, and it, it shows you what just watch.
A ton of cocaine, pure cocaine worth hundreds of millions, is smuggled into the United States. Sound familiar? Not the way this ton of cocaine got here. According to what the former head of the Drug Enforcement Administration told Mike Wallace, this drug shipment got here courtesy of what he calls drug trafficking by the CIA in partnership with the Venezuelan National Guard. While rumors of CIA involvement in drug trafficking have circulated for years, no one in the U.S. government has ever before publicly charged the CIA with this kind of wrongdoing. And it's not the kind of accusation anyone in government would make without thinking long and hard.
Anyway, there's a whole report on that was put out by, was it 60 Minutes back in the day?
Right. Before we get into the weeds, I really want to hammer home that this is not a regime change, and this was a calculated decision by the Trump administration to not initiate a regime change.
Well, there is no regime change. Maduro's number 2 is in charge.
Yes, it's Delcy Rodriguez, and she is VP, but she's powerful beyond her status. She has authority over the economy ministry, state oil company. Her brother is a player in parliament. Mm-hmm. He's speaker and spokesperson for the government. She has strong relationships with Chinese, Russians. She's one of the same, right? Mm-hmm. There is no regime change. There's a clip I wanted to watch.
Do we have it?
It's clip 7. If you could play
number 7
to 11.
Do we know where
16.
the Cameron left off? We'll play this.
Wait, the next one. Sorry.
The clip 8. This one.
See what I did there?
Yeah,
Whoops. Sorry. This
women.
is Anya Parampel on Judge Knapp. It was an excellent analysis. If you have time, please watch the entire thing.
When Rubio and Trump get up there and say mission accomplished, the reality is there is no evidence that the regime itself has been dislodged from power. Delcy worked under Maduro. She is the vice president. She is the person that should constitutionally serve at the moment. There hasn't been a real regime change. So are those forces that the United States have been sanctioning and attacking for years now going to step aside and let the United States come in? I don't know. But I think Trump and Rubio, when they get out there and say they're controlling everything, have clearly spoken too soon. And Americans who think that Delcy Rodriguez and what's still there of the government or the regime are just going to easily play ball with the United States don't really know anything about the country.
Here's what Trump said, Anya,
that's
in
absolutely
his
true. There does
rather
not
thuggish way.
Hold on. Okay.
There does not seem to be popular support in Venezuela. And all I was seeing that day is free Venezuela clips over and over and over again. If you want to play a clip on that.
I've got this, which is tweeted 5 hours ago. This is the 4th straight day of pro-Maduro protests. So the people are turning out in Venezuela in support of Maduro.
Right.
So you haven't really changed anything. The commie government still in power.
Absolutely.
So
before we talk about Paul Singer, because that is such Marco Rubio.
That's another angle.
It's the angle, I think. Before we talk about that, I want to know, is the Trump administration delusional? Let's play 3 and then see what Trump said about oil and Venezuela on Truth Social. Why is he using Truth Social?
That's his program. It's his platform. Of course he's using
How much
Truth
money
Social.
did he make from that? Go ahead.
No, he made the money from the crypto scams. What are you talking about? Let's go.
China, Russia, and Iran have interests in Venezuela. How does this operation affect your relationships with them when it comes to the oil and the drugs?
And Russia, Russia when we get things straightened out. But in terms of other countries that want oil, we're in the oil business. We're going to sell it to them. We're not going to say we're not going to give it to them. In other words, we'll be selling oil probably in much larger doses because they couldn't produce very much because their infrastructure was so bad. So we'll be selling large amounts of oil to other countries, many of whom are using it now, but I would say many more will come.
There is a lot of evidence that is going to take a long time, at least 3 to 5 years estimated. Let's play 6. 3 to 5 years estimated for any infrastructure to get up and start producing massive amounts of oil. And there's evidence that oil companies will not go to Venezuela. So I really don't know if they're delusional about this, if they don't understand what is going to be required of the infrastructure. Let's play 6.
So how do we reconcile all of those obstacles with the optimism of President Trump that he says he expects the U.S. oil companies to get in there and start spending big and get the oil flowing?
Well, I would call that goal aspirational at best, and I think he has heard. He has probably heard today, I believe, was a meeting with the U.S. oil companies. Exxon and Conoco were expropriated in 2007. They spent years successfully pursuing international arbitration awards, and they're trying to collect the billions that they're still owed. There's no way they're putting more money into that until they get paid back. And even then, they have many portfolio options, and it's unclear that Venezuela would be a prime candidate anytime soon. I think where you could see some expansion, as I said earlier, are for the companies that are already there.
Right.
If it was permitted, Chevron would rehabilitate its operations and perhaps expand them. The same for Repsol and Morel and Prom, which are much smaller operators. But they're talking maybe another 300,000 barrels a day in a year and a half. So I think the president is misinformed or just overly optimistic.
I mean, obviously somebody is doing this for financial incentive because we have this Paul Singer angle. But Cameron, before we get into that, do you think that the Trump administration is delusional about the ability to extract oil immediately in Venezuela?
I don't think they're delusional, Rebecca. Look, I think this is a publicity stunt. As I said, it's very clear, just based on some of the clips that you've shown, that there is no strategy here. And just to be clear, what is a strategy? A strategy is a plan to end a conflict based on specific geopolitical goals, economic goals, military goals, political goals. Yeah, we got Maduro. Okay. Then what? So originally we were told, as Dave alluded to a moment ago, it was about narco-terrorism. It was about drugs. Well, that's not being mentioned anymore. Next we're told it's about access to oil and operational control of the country. We don't have operational control of the country. And getting access to the oil, that's problematic. Refining it is not easy to do. And then bringing it to market so that you actually make a profit, that's not going to happen for years at a minimum. So that's not really the answer either. It strikes me that the president was convinced by Rubio and perhaps others, probably in the CIA, that getting rid of Maduro was an easy win, a publicity stunt that he could then leverage into political capital. I don't think the president, because I don't...
Son of a bitch!
Dave, you're doing this, aren't you?
I don't think he's of sound mind on this.
You're back. Keep going.
Sorry. Can you hear me? Yeah. I don't think that the president, in part because he's not of sound mind, ever gave much thought to what is going on. And if you listen to Rubio and Hegseth and others in his administration, all of them appear to be playing catch up to whatever the president happens to say. So the answer, Rebecca, is no. I don't think they're delusional. I think they're completely lost. I don't think there is a plan. And now they're trying to make one up on the fly.
Well, I think it's time we talk about Rubio and Paul Singer, because we have talked about it at length on this show, but I still don't think people understand the depths of Narco Rubio's involvement.
Narco Rubio.
His involvement in the drug trade, his personal allegiances, his financial affiliations, how corrupt he is as an individual. So let's do a brief overview on Paul Singer, top donor to Marco Rubio.
Do we have a link to this that's better than this one, or was this the link?
That's fine. I was just going to read a few things about him. That's from Mother Jones, God help me. But it was a good brief overview. In 2024, Singer, 81-year-old with a net worth of $6.7 billion, donated $5 million to MAGA, Inc., Trump's super PAC. He donated tens of millions more in the 2024 cycle to Trump's allies, including $37 million to support the election of Republicans to Congress. He also donated an undisclosed amount to fund Trump's second transition. Now listen to this. This past June, when Trump sought funds to bankroll a primary challenger to Thomas Massie, who had raised his ire by supporting the release of the Epstein files, Singer contributed $1 million, which was the largest contribution. Since Trump was first elected in 2016, Singer has met personally with Trump at least 4 times. Trump said, Paul just left and he's given us his total support. This was 2017. I want to thank Paul Singer for being here and for coming up to the office. He was a very strong opponent. Now he's a very strong ally. Can you pull up 9, please? So Singer famously endorsed Rubio in 2015. Yeah, top Republican billionaire Paul Singer endorses.
You want to play this?
Mark Rubio. Nah, it's fine. Now, how does this play into what's going on now? Can you pull up clip, or not clip? Can you pull up number 10, which is an article?
Number 10.
This hedge fund billionaire bet on a Venezuela-linked oil refiner at just the right time. Look at that. Just a few weeks ago, U.S. hedge fund manager known for playing the long game in Latin America won a protracted battle for one of Venezuela's crown jewels. That bet now looks shrewd in the light of the American military operation that captured Venezuela's president, Nicolas Maduro, over the weekend. Amber Energy, an affiliate of Paul Singer's Elliott Management hedge fund firm, emerged victorious in late November, in an auction for U.S. oil refiner Citgo Petroleum Corp. The refiner is a subsidiary of Venezuela's state-owned company, PDVSA. The forced auction was a lengthy process that pitted Amber Energy against one other contender, Gold Reserves Limited, a creditor of Venezuela that had gold and copper mining assets expropriated. The winning bid from Elliott Management affiliate came in at $5.89 billion. Lower than the $7 billion bid from Gold Reserves. And I've heard that the valuation was actually $13 billion.
How's that legal?
It was for sale, but a federal judge in Delaware viewed Elliott's bid as most likely to close and has included payments to Venezuela's creditors. The deal is expected to close this year. Lawyers involved in the situation have said Citgo's assets include 3 U.S. refineries in Lake Charles, Louisiana, Corpus Christi, and Lamont, Illinois, in addition to pipelines, terminals, and other downstream assets. Venezuela has massive oil reserves that mostly consist of heavy sour crude oil that the U.S. Gulf Coast refineries are historically suited to handle. So there it is.
So it's a war for oil.
Yeah.
Well, that's a different take than me, but that's okay.
I don't know. I mean, I think Cameron's take...
See, and it's so funny too, right? Because like all of these wars, right? Like Iraq and all of this shit that's been going on in the Middle East, it's for freedom and democracy.
Oh, well, it's not for that. We can all agree on that.
And it's like, nigga, it's for oil. It's for oil. And now we've got Donald Trump coming out. Yeah, we're doing it for the oil. Well, it's going to be tremendous. We want the oil.
I think for Trump, this is a PR play. I think for Rubio, it's personal enrichment. And he said that Cuba is next.
The other big thing, though, too, that, you know, I'd be remiss, and I don't know, because I didn't read the outline again, if we're going to be getting into this, but Paul Singer, this is not the first time that we've talked about Paul Singer. Paul Singer is also one of the primary donors to the Philos Project, which is this philo-Semitic group that pays for American Jews to make Aliyah to Israel. And this is also the group that has been funneling millions of dollars into Opus Dei, a very secretive Catholic sect that is operative in Washington, D.C. at the Catholic Information Center. They've been hosting all kinds of these, you know, Catholic conferences on combating anti-Semitism and, oh no, the Romans killed Jesus, not the Jews, and all of this kind of nonsense. J.D. Vance has spoken at Philos Project things. And, you know, Paul Singer is just neck deep in all of this Deborah Lipstadt, Holocaust denial, Holocaust Remembrance Association and the ADL and all of this stuff. He's neck deep in all of that. And so, you know, not to get too off on a tangent or whatever, but, you know, I see these clips like this from Bibi Netanyahu coming out basically saying that he thought that the U.S. military operation in Venezuela was perfect. We commend Trump and salute his decision. We appreciate it because it's driving South American countries into the arms of Israel. And of course, we've been talking a lot about the Isaac Accords, which is the South American version of the Abraham Accords, which is essentially the Israeli version of NATO. It's the co-option of the Monroe Doctrine by Israel. And so I'm not saying that it's like all about the Jews or whatever, but, you know,
It is all about the
well, when I see these things, like when I see Paul Singer's fingerprints on it, when I see people getting on Fox News, like Mike Huckabee talking about how good this is going to be for Israel because Hezbollah had drones down there. And then there was some other guy, let me see if I can pull it up really quick, but there was a Freudian slip moment on Fox News where a guy gets up and he says, oh, this is such a good operation. This is so good because this is going to, look. My post is visibility limited.
Oh,
right?
geez.
So here's the clip. I mean, watch.
The implications here are really great for the Venezuelan people.
Right. I mean, the implications are really great for the Israeli, the Venezuelan people, and so it just gets you thinking, is Israel building an empire? Are they building an empire? And then they're going to cut our throats, stab us in the back, throw us under the bus, rug our economy, and then all of a sudden Jerusalem will emerge with Pax Judaica, and they will be this global power. And, that's a concern. I'm concerned about that. I really don't give a shit. Now I guess we're getting into take selling, right? I really don't give a shit about, like, overthrowing a foreign dictator. I'm not inherently opposed to American imperialism. I'm not a leftist, right? Like, if we want to go and, exert power in the world, fuck it. Yeah, absolutely. If I were president, I would want to do that. The problem is that we have a Zionist-occupied government that is doing everything in its power to benefit Israel and nothing to benefit the American people. And I'm just not convinced.
You are not a proponent of current American imperialism.
No, because it's run by Jews.
Yeah, exactly.
If it was run by Americans, then I wouldn't have a second thought. And so I'm just, I'm not against what happened. I really don't give a shit about Maduro, but is this going to be a benefit to Americans 2 years in the future that some vulture capitalist now has the ability to export oil and what? Like I paid $2.18 for a gallon of gas the other day. That is not because the Venezuelan oil reserves are online.
Right.
That has nothing to do with it.
Before we get Cameron's take on why this is a distraction for the Trump administration, I do want you to bring up this poll. This is 18. More Americans say the U.S. should not run Venezuela. Americans are split about U.S. capturing Maduro, with many still forming opinions. 4 in 10, only 4 in 10 approved the U.S. military being sent to capture Maduro. Roughly the same were opposed. 2 in 10 were unsure. Republicans broadly approved of the action. No surprise there. Democrats were largely opposed to it. And can you pull up 19 as well? This is the Nate Silver poll, which I don't know.
This one right here?
Yeah.
I can just zoom in on it.
Okay, great. So this is Trump's approval rating. Look at that.
Down.
It's
Big
just
time.
Absolutely tanking. And most of it's the economy. But I think Cameron's right that he saw this as some kind of PR win. He knows he's down in the economy, that he hasn't done much for immigration for white people. And I think he was like, all right, this is easy. And it was a way for Rubio, who has vested interests. And Rubio and Paul Singer, they've been playing the long game here.
Yeah, they've been at it for 10, 15 years.
At least 10 years that we know about.
Yeah.
And Rubio, when he was involved with his brother-in-law's drug trade, he had a kilo of cocaine in his room. He was living in his brother-in-law's house.
Marco Rubio?
Yes, Narco Rubio.
Narco Rubio.
And he was 16. He was intimately involved in this massive drug ring of his brother-in-law. Cameron, if you could opine on that and why you believe that this is not as it appears.
Well, let's first talk a little bit about this thing called America First, right? Because a lot of people bandy about that. They throw it around. And I was on Twitter and some spaces talking to some folks, all of whom were convinced that going into Venezuela was a massive victory, that this is a demonstration of our hegemony in our own hemisphere. That has absolutely nothing to do with the Monroe Doctrine proper. And if you actually read the document, which I have, and you're familiar with the actual Americans that articulated that strategy, which is a strategy more or less, a foreign policy that we followed until 1898. Some would argue until World War II. So what does the Monroe Doctrine actually say? Well, it says, asserting as a principle in which the rights and interests of the United States are involved. That's a key statement. that the American continents, by the free and independent condition which they have assumed and maintained, are henceforth not to be considered as subjects for future colonization by any European powers. Now, obviously, you can adapt that to present day. Who is Venezuela being colonized by? Is it being colonized by the Chinese? No. Are they buying oil from Venezuela? Yeah, so are we. Is it being colonized by the Russians? No, it's not. To the extent that Venezuela has relations with China and Russia, it's largely because we sanctioned Venezuela. Lest we forget, when Donald Trump negotiated, or rather was having phone conversations with Maduro, he basically offered up whatever he wanted in terms of a cut of the Venezuelan oil depository and business. We dismissed that. So quite clearly, that condition was not met. There is no encroachment on Venezuela's sovereignty, certainly not by the Chinese or the Russians. What else does the Monroe Doctrine say? It says, it is only when our rights are invaded or seriously menaced that we resent injuries or make preparation for our defense. Our defense. What does going into Venezuela, a sovereign country, yeah, we can quibble about the condition that it's in, but what does violating the sovereignty of Venezuela actually accomplish for us? Well, I can tell you what it doesn't accomplish. It certainly does not endear us to a region inside of our hemisphere called Latin America that has been subject to over 40 interventions that I just went through a moment ago, and are already festering with feverish anti-Americanism, who do not like the neo-colonialism that we just engaged upon, who do not respect a president, our president, who's threatening other countries in the region, like Colombia.
Yep. We did threaten Colombia.
Yeah.
We basically said they're next. Cuba as well.
I think
Iran.
I
remember
have that
like
clip.
literally like 5 seconds after this whole thing happened, Carrie Lake was out there saying, you know, the people of Venezuela need freedom. The people of Cuba need freedom.
I have
the people
the Marco
of
Rubio
Iran
clip. It's
need
12.
freedom. Clip 12. Yeah, let's do it then. Cameron will be back with us momentarily. We've got to get him back in the States, guys. Can you please send some super chats bullying Cameron to come back home? We miss him very much. All right, here's the clip.
I mean, I just gave you a statement a few minutes ago about, you know, when the president speaks, you should take him seriously. So suffice it to say, you know, Cuba is a disaster. It's run by incompetent, senile men, and in some cases, not senile, but incompetent nonetheless. It has no economy. It's in total collapse. And by the way, you know, they were, you know, all of the guards that helped protect Maduro, this is well known, their whole spy agency, all that were full of Cubans. I mean, they basically, it's amazing. This poor island took over Venezuela in some cases. One of the biggest problems that Venezuelans have is they have to declare independence from Cuba that tried to basically colonize it from a security standpoint. So, yeah, look, if I lived in Havana and I was in the government, I'd be concerned, at least a little bit.
Are you cutting off the oil flow to Cuba from Venezuela?
Well, the president already announced a week ago that anything that's sanctioned, it's sanctioned oil, it's not going to be allowed to get there. So that's an
What a snake.
I did not know he was a drug dealer.
Well, he was involved in this, I don't want to say cartel. Is it the cartel when they're not Mexicans?
Yeah, they have cartels all over the place.
Oh, okay. So that's it. I just think of the I think exclusively of the Mexican cartel.
No, it's not. Why couldn't we have, like, you know?
I have that clip too. Do you want to learn more about Marco Rubio?
Yeah, absolutely. Which
okay,
clip is
let's do
Narco Rubio,
number 11.
Number 11.
This was fascinating.
Let's take a look at this. This is from Geopolitica 2030.
It's a video.
This one?
Mm-hmm.
And then you find out that Orlando Cecilia, your sister Barbara's husband, had been arrested and charged with some drug-related crime, as you describe in the book. And then your brother-in-law would be sentenced to 25 years in prison. That's exactly what we said on Univision. I understand that this upset you and your family. I completely understand. The question is, as journalists and voters, do they not have the right to know what kind of relationship you had with someone linked to drug trafficking?
The story was about me. They should have contacted me
I love his
first.
dub.
You were 16 years old.
Let me finish. But you go beyond that. Later, on the front page of Univision's National News. I understand you weren't on the air that night, but Univision National put the story on the front page, which wasn't about me at all. It was the personal story of two private citizens who have absolutely nothing to do with politics.
But connected to you.
So they could have asked me.
It said that you could become vice president. And these kinds of connections had to be discussed.
But Jorge, no. With the press, that's public record. And Univision calls me, asks, look, we understand this happened in your family. How did it affect you? I would have gladly answered.
You say he had no influence on you at that time, meaning he didn't help you financially. I'm asking you if Orlando, your brother-in-law, helped you financially when you were 16 years old.
Well, he was my brother-in-law. I was 16 years old. As I mentioned in the book, I used to wash his dogs at his house. I'm sure they gave me gifts.
Wait, this part's important too. If we don't have camera back, we might as well.
Obtained by the weekly New Times, the more than 700 pages of transcripts from Cecilia's trial contain the testimony of Randy Schaffer, one of his employees. When a prosecutor asked where Cecilia kept the drugs, Chappelle replied, "In his guest room. It was a kilo or two." The witness added that the drugs were then stored in cigarette boxes and that Cecilia kept cocaine in the house from March 1985 to January 1986.
Also, in the room where he stayed, there was almost a kilo. The documents listed a kilo of cocaine.
In 1987, the dismantling of the powerful organization was announced. It was led by this man, Mario Bravo, a collector of exotic animals.
What the fuck?
The government is also.
That's so weird.
Isn't that
man.
bizarre?
Bro.
Bizarre.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
I didn't know that little Marco Rubio got down like that.
Narco Rubio.
Narco Rubio. Wow. That's incredible.
We have Cameron back.
Cameron's back. Should be
Man, technical difficulties, folks. My apologies.
You need to come back home, Cameron. We need you here stateside.
Yeah.
We want you in Idaho. Come on, move up here.
But
dude.
it's a good thing you played that video and that you brought up, the moniker Narco Rubio, because South Florida is really just an extension of Latin America. In fact, a lot of Latinos regard Miami as the capital of Latin America. And when you go down there, in many ways it is, right? So you have a lot of the problems that are pervasive in Latin America. You have drug trafficking, you have arms issues, you have organized crime, you have all of that kind of stuff concentrated down in South Florida. And that's why the Trump administration is entertaining regime change in Venezuela, then in Cuba, and God knows where else.
Absolutely. All right. Let me move on. I'm worried about getting Cameron on for too long.
Yeah.
But if we lose Cameron again, he's just going to keep coming back.
So this is the next story. I mean, so we're wrapping up Venezuela here and moving on to the next story.
Well, it also might just
because
be
the next story is huge. It's so important.
It's so important. This also might be a distraction from the situation that we're having in the financial markets, because maybe Trump is just saying before these hard times are really upon us. I mean, I think we're in the midst of it, but before it really hits the middle class,
yeah,
I think he's saying, giving a sign to the American public that there's future prosperity in it for us. And I think that maybe he's trying to hedge.
I mean, there's also
the financial collapse.
The angle that because his popularity is falling and it's starting to look more and more like there's going to be a backlash in the midterms. Sorry, that was so gay. There's going to be a backlash in the midterms, and that the Republicans are going to lose the House, lose the Senate. And I think that, the vested interest, the donor class, is just getting as much bang for their buck as they possibly can. Yep. Right now, they're checking off all the boxes. They're doing everything they can. Like, why can't Donald Trump fucking abduct Tim Walz and put him in Guantanamo? Why can't Donald Trump go around the United States and start, Bill Gates?
How about
Fauci?
What I mean?
Anthony Fauci. Like, and you know exactly what these leftists would say about Donald Trump if he was starting to do like executive actions like this that would actually be popular and benefit the American people. They would be like, oh, he's a dictator. He's a fascist.
absolutely,
He's this, he's
absolutely.
that. But it's like he's doing this for the donor class, for Paul Singer, for the oil, perhaps for Israel.
Perhaps, yeah.
Definitely for Israel. And it's like, man, can't we get something for us? Like, again, I'm not opposed to taking these types of unilateral actions or a CIA black op, like offing a bunch of like terrorists or whatever. Like, I'm not inherently opposed to that. I'm not even inherently opposed to being a bully. Richard Spencer had a really great take on his space yesterday, where it's just like, yeah, bullies fucking win. They're cool. And it's like, there's something about that where I can get behind it. But
there's no transparency, and it's never what they say it is.
Right.
Ever.
Right.
And so we have a proven track record of absolute incompetence when it comes to regime change.
Right. But this wasn't a regime change. As we've stated, nothing has actually changed in Venezuela.
Let's talk silver. Can you pull up 20?
Yes. We've got to talk.
This is the real story. I think Cameron's right about this.
Huge. Absolute huge.
Huge.
It's huge. Look at this.
All right, breaking news. Silver has surpassed NVIDIA to become the second largest asset by market cap. When was this? This was earlier today.
They cut off 8, and you know what the 8th largest is, don't you? Bitcoin.
Oh, you hate yourself. This was from a few hours ago, right?
Yes.
Okay, good.
No, yesterday.
Oh, no.
Yeah,
that was
yesterday.
do you know what silver's at right now? I guess it hasn't changed.
78.60. It's dipped a little bit, getting a little dippy. Let's.
Okay, it still would be second though.
Yeah, I mean, let's take a look at the chart. That's the 10-year. Let's go to the 1 month. Right? I mean, it's still going up. It's not like it's trend reversing.
Yeah. Let's pull up 21. Bank of America is predicting that silver goes to 309.
Damn, really?
They had a range.
I mean, if you adjust
gold will be the primary hedge and performance driver in 2026. Silver could top out between 135, 309.
That's unbelievable.
And then let's pull up 22.
Oh, 22. Yes.
Gold has overtaken the US dollar as the largest global reserve asset. Do you know who had a very good take for laymen on this?
No, but I hope you'll tell me.
Brett Weinstein, who I don't typically trust.
A Jew.
Because he's Jewish. But his take on this, I think, sometimes I think on the backlash that we don't present things in layman's terms. And I wonder if some viewers fall off because of that.
We might be a little high IQ here.
Okay, that's not our problem.
Midwit?
No, I mean, that's not our problem. But I want people of all understanding, of all levels of understanding.
I want people to be aware and to learn
Let's pull
more.
up. Let's watch 23 and then 24, and then I want Cameron to fill us in on this.
We are seeing a number of things that all speak to a financial calamity looming short term. And I would point specifically to, and I am no expert in this, I wish I understood it better, but the price of silver skyrocketing. Why is the price of silver skyrocketing? Well, the story, as I understand it, is that the price of silver has been artificially depressed.
Mm-hmm.
How do you artificially depress the price of a commodity that people can actually buy? Well, because we have two versions of the commodity. There's actual silver and there's paper silver. And paper silver can be printed. So, to the extent that the price of silver wants to rise because silver is scarce, those who are in a position to create silver by printing it and selling it so that you own some silver in your portfolio, but it's not a real metal, those people are in a position to drive the price down by creating the impression that there is supply where there isn't.
All right, let's just go right into 24, and then I want Cameron to give his analysis on this.
All right, here we go.
Thank you, sir.
Great internet. Thank you, Elon.
So what is, I think, taking place is there is a battle between those who have spotted this looming catastrophe and are buying actual silver because they expect it to go up. They expect the stranglehold of those who can print it and artificially depress the price to be broken. And so ever more effort is being put into holding back that rising price by printing more, which is, of course, a positive feedback that is going to detonate. And what I've understood from these discussions, Michael Yon calls silver the blasting cap in the economy. And the point is, silver is not a big player in terms of how the world runs, but it is in a position to set loose the bursting of bubbles, the repricing of things that are mispriced because of artificiality like this in the markets. And so anyway, I think
Yeah, I think that's a really good assessment. That it appears that we're going to have some sort of bank run type situation on silver, and I think we're in the midst of it. Cameron, I know that you want to talk about this, we want to hear your take.
Let's go.
I do, but I think I'm gonna be interrupted by my internet service.
We'll try.
That's okay. We'll try.
A lot of folks, have been talking about financial trouble. Certainly, you guys have heard me belabor this point incessantly. A lot of you don't like hearing it anymore, and I certainly understand that. However, people like Ray Dalio, who's a very famous hedge fund manager, he has said that we're headed for some kind of a financial cardiac arrest. And I concur with that for reasons I'm going to expound upon in just a moment. But just to be clear, when you have a heart attack, there are symptoms, right? There's dizziness, there's palpitations, chest pain, things of that nature that suggest, hey, something's wrong. Something's not right here. We have been experiencing symptoms of this financial cardiac arrest. One of them has been this meteoric rise in gold, which frankly, a lot of the elites on Wall Street, and I think in Washington, D.C., for the most part, have ignored. But if you look at the gold price over the last few years, there's been a very substantial shift. I mean, it's basically doubled in price over the last couple years, which is unheard of for gold, except during times of financial stress and trauma. And something very similar is going on with silver. Now, I say all of that in part against the backdrop of what, according to some people, Yanis Varoufakis is one. He used to be the Greek finance minister. But according to him, and there's a Substack on this, Dave, you can bring it up. It's called Varoufakis Warns of a Dollar Crisis.
How do you spell
according to him,
Fakis?
at the bank,
How do I spell Fakis?
Varoufakis. Yeah.
According to him, FACAS.
There it is.
And the name of the article?
Warns of dollar crisis.
Sorry, this wine is very good.
It tastes like I'm wasting.
In any case, he has been saying that there have been some emergency meetings held at the Bank of International Settlements, and presumably at the New York Fed, and maybe even at the White House. I don't know. That part is speculation. But in any case, his claim is that there have been some emergency meetings in which they're talking about a failure of various folks, entities, to buy U.S. debt. Now, that is also a symptom. Why does gold and silver in particular matter? Who cares? The reason it matters, ladies and gentlemen, is because in 1933, there was an executive order that was passed by FDR. This is in the depths of the Depression, and that executive order outlawed the private holding of gold. From 1933 to 1974, gold was outlawed. It changed in 1974, in part because we came off the gold standard. And officially, we came off the gold standard in 1971 when Richard Nixon officially took us off, right? Temporarily. And that's well known for anybody that knows anything about finance. But in 1974, it was essentially legal again to own gold and silver. And this caused to some degree, a bit of a panic. And this panic is actually documented in another document. Dave, I don't know if you can bring this up, but WikiLeaks disclosed a memo, I want to say 10, 15 years ago, called London Wholesale Gold Dealers' View on U.S. Gold Sale and Private U.S. Ownership. And in this memo, which comes from the Department of the Treasury in London and was sent to the Department of State in the United States. That document, and I'm going to read a little bit of it, was all about something called the futures market. And you don't need to worry about exactly what that is or how it works, except to say that the futures market, which are bets that are made about the price of gold and contracts that are tailored based on those bets, those futures markets were deliberately created under the umbrella of things like the London Bullion Market Association to control the price of gold and silver, to discourage private ownership of it, and to arbitrage the price. And that's just a fancy way of saying to distort the price so that market forces didn't actually reflect reality. In other words, to make sure that gold and silver were not properly valued and actually communicated the extent to which there was inflation in the world or the real value of things. And it worked. For a long period of time, the vast majority of bets on gold and silver were not taken in physical delivery. What I mean by that is they were paper contracts. People were just betting back and forth, but people didn't take delivery. That changed mysteriously when Donald Trump became president in and around November of 2024. And mysteriously, at that point in time, there were some very large orders of gold to come into the United States that were taken for delivery. Not paper contract, but for delivery. And many of you probably remember that this is around the time that Elon Musk and Donald Trump and others were talking about revaluation in gold. They were also talking about auditing Fort Knox to see what we actually hold. And then that all disappeared.
Yes, it did.
All that talk disappeared. It just stopped. What's happened in the meantime is that gold has continued to rise. And now silver is rising meteorically. And what this is a symptom of is a massive financial crisis because trust in the paper markets, trust in these bets about the price of gold and silver has collapsed. And that means that all of a sudden people want physical delivery and things are starting to revalue. And that means this fractional reserve banking system that we've got, which is a fancy way of saying whatever the banks are holding officially does not match the amount of money that's actually circulating in the economy. This is, in other words, a bank run. That's what it is. And a lot of the folks that are trading or that are taking delivery of this are actually sovereign countries outside of the United States. This is a very big deal, folks. This is communicating that we're headed into some kind of a massive revaluation away from the US dollar into gold and silver that we don't actually have in the United States, in Great Britain, which means that we don't have the monetary power that we used to have. Some of that may explain what's happening in Venezuela. I don't know, in the sense that it's a distraction, in the sense that maybe we're trying to gobble up as much commodities as we can because we don't have the gold and silver that we say, and our bluff is being called. I think that's what's happening.
You know, there is something to that. I think there was several $1 billion worth of gold in Venezuela, and I saw some, was it C-17s? Is that the right plane? The big ass planes, you know. We saw some of those flying through the area. So it's entirely possible that we might be trying to pick some of that up. Also, you're going to hate me. You're all going to hate me. But I did talk about this a little bit on the Monday show. There is a lot of Bitcoin in Venezuela. 600,000 Bitcoin.
Wait, they seized it?
Well, apparently, I don't know if it's been seized or not or sanctioned, but you know, Venezuela's got Bitcoin. And so if we're in control of Venezuela, right, in control, as Donald Trump said, and if we're in control of their gold and their oil, as the administration is saying, whether that's true or not, then we're in control of their Bitcoin too. And apparently they've got 600,000 coin, which is just shy of what Michael Saylor at MicroStrategy, what iBit has. It's like $68 billion worth of Bitcoin, if I'm not mistaken. So there could be something there too.
Look, folks, you know, what do I always say? What's focal is not causal. And secondly, and related to that, when people behave erratically, when they start acting out in ways that are unpredictable and temperamental, and for Donald Trump, yeah, to be sure, that's sort of par for the course. But this entire event in Venezuela, and I would submit a lot of his behavior over the last 6 to 12 months, does not seem to reflect acting from a position of strength, does it? It seems to suggest a kind of desperation, a desperation in the White House. I think a desperation from the bankers in Wall Street. I think there's a percolating sense behind closed doors.
A percolating sense behind closed doors that we're fucked. Can I like accurately predict where Cameron is going with that? Well, he'll be back with us in a second.
But first.
Well, I mean, should we? I think we should.
Totally.
This has not, in fact, been just one giant gold and silver ad, but now we're going to turn it into one because you got to talk with our friends at Atlas
Lear
Bullion.
Capital.
No, fuck Lear Capital. And, you know, there was also a tweet, and I mentioned this on the Monday show. Let me go back to my Twitter profile. Is Cameron? No, he's not back yet. But I was going through, you know, there was this big drama. You weren't here. You need to apologize to everybody.
I did. I'm sorry for not being there on Monday. I am remodeling my kitchen
but there was this
floor,
big.
So they had to,
did you see this? There was this big scuff up in the Diamond District of New York. Trax NYC got into it with a bunch of dirty, disgusting, smarmy, slimy, scumbag.
Are these guys
diamond
Arabs
dealers.
or Jews?
They're Jews. And
all of them?
Well, that guy is, and he is too. And so
I gotta
anyway,
see this. What happened?
You haven't seen this?
No.
Oh, well, then I'll play it. This is crazy. Let me just make sure it's not too loud.
That
But
was so unnecessary. No!
Oh, they wildin'.
Oh my god. What happened?
Oh, they wildin'.
Oh my god!
Oh, they wildin'.
Oh my...
Where's my fucking money, motherfucker? Where's my fucking money? Where's my money? I got this bracelet. Where's my fucking money? What are you gonna do? What are you gonna fucking do?
You haven't seen this?
Motherfucker. You say VVS, I3, 14 carat, and you're using my name! You
6447.
Bro.
Yeah, 6447. Thief! You fucking thief!
There's a violence. Stop. Take him out. Stop. Take him out.
Yeah. No.
What is the backstory on this?
So basically, I think he gets into it here at the end. Doesn't he get in? Oh no. So I didn't post that clip. Okay. So basically, what happened is, you know, the Diamond District, it's like one big building, and there's a bunch of little booths inside, right? And so some black guy came up and was like, "Hey, yo, I want a chain like Trax has." And these guys were like, "Yeah, we got Trax chains here," and they sold him like a 9.5 carat gold chain, and charged him for a 14 karat gold chain, and the grade of the diamond was shit. So anyway, and they led this guy to believe that they were selling Trax's product. Right? And so he found out about it and absolutely flipped out. Aiden Ross, then he went and did a stream with Trax. His name is Max.
You're telling me there was a Jew diamond brawl?
Yes. And it's incredible. And it's so funny. And the funniest part about this is that, like, you know, Max winds up being like the least sleazy Jew in the Diamond District. And when you go to his website, traxnyc.com, he sells gold bullion there. And so he's charging $6,470 an ounce for gold.
Are you segueing to an ad right now?
The same exact coin from our friends at Atlas Bullion will run you $2,000 less, only $4,500
That's because Kenzie's not Jewish.
At Atlas Bullion. No, absolutely. And so, yeah, I mean, Cameron's back. I'll read the ad anyway, and then we'll get some closing thoughts from Cam. But Atlas Bullion, your premier dealer for gold and silver on the internet. They're not sleazy scumbags. They're not going to take your money and sell you junk. They're going to give you real gold and silver bullion. You can get to them at atlasbullion.com/backlash. Of course, we've always got links below in the show notes. It helps support this show when you make purchases. It helps support them, a small, independent, non-Jewish gold and silver bullion company. They've got silver and gold subscriptions with plans as low as $55 a month for silver, $200 a month for gold. But really, the way that the market is looking, you might want to do a little bit more than just the bare minimum if you can afford it. They've got a bunch of people, apparently, that watch our show that are starting to buy 10-ounce bars. And
Amazing.
Of course, the larger the denomination, the larger the weight of gold and silver that you buy, the lower the premium. So like, for example, if you go to Atlas and you start buying these fractional gold pieces, like 1 gram of gold, you will wind up paying $5,000 an ounce or more, because the smaller the denomination, the higher the premium on it. So like if you went and you bought like a 10-ounce gold bar, you might only pay $100 over spot for that. Whereas if you buy a full ounce of gold in tiny grams, you might spend $1,000 over spot. So if you can, buy some weight. 10-ounce silver bars is a great way to get some weight in your stack with a low premium. atlasbullion.com/backlash. And I'm going to promo it, even though I haven't heard back from Kenzie, but we are going to do a very special Twitter space with Kenzie from Atlas Bullion, where we will be able to have her up. And those of you that want to know more about how to effectively stack gold and silver, you'll be able to ask her questions about the product, questions about how to grow your stack, how to save your money, how to secure it, how to tell whether or not it's real or fake gold and silver. So keep an eye out on our Twitter. Make sure you're following us at Real Backlash on X. It's either going to be this Friday or next Friday. Can't say for sure yet because I haven't heard back from Kenzie, but we are going to do it. We want you educated. I don't want to see us go into some crazy, goofy debt spiral thing and have our audience be totally fucked. Stay away from the crypto scams. Stay away from the meme coins. Get something you can hold in your hand. Go to atlasbullion.com/backlash. And, you can always call. You can always call Kenzie and find out what they got in stock. Anyway.
Cameron, do you want to get your finishing thoughts in there?
Man, I don't know if I can. I'm scared.
That's okay.
We'll try. It's okay.
In any case, yeah. There's a lot of spaces on Twitter, right? And I know you guys spend a lot of time there, as does, I think, our audience for the most part. And you go on Twitter, there's geopolitical Twitter. There's macro Twitter. There's political Twitter, right? There's Groyper Twitter, whatever. There's all of these spaces that tend to form bubbles. And inside these bubbles, you tend to ignore everything that's outside of it. What we try to do on this program is we try to bring a lot of these different spaces together. That's why we talk about geopolitics. That's why we talk about local politics. It's why I talk about the macro economy, et cetera, et cetera. But what is the base layer of this system that we're dealing with? What is it that's gone horribly wrong with Donald Trump? He's been bought, folks. And he's been bought by people like Miriam Adelson. He's been bought by people like Paul Singer. And what is their power derived from? It's derived from a financial system that is poisonous, from a dollar that is a virus. And what I'm suggesting to all of you is that if we're going to get transformative change in this country, it's going to come because that base layer is destroyed, because it's set on fire and it's burned to the ground, because all the financial crimes that are almost certainly embedded in that hardware are exposed, that they're ventilated to the world. And resetting the price of silver and gold is wresting control away from these financial parasites and back in our hands, back in our favor. And that ultimately is how we're going to win. No pain, no gain. There's going to be a lot of collateral damage. But there is no way out of this. There is no way forward without exploding this financial parasite that really is at the root cause of everything that we're trying to overcome in this country. The racial problem, the JQ, all of it. It's all being subsidized by this evil system that's got to go up in flames. And I think that's what's happening.
I totally agree.
From your lips to God's ears.
Absolutely.
That would be wonderful. So what do we want to do now? Do we want
Let's
to do
let Cameron go
some
since the
super
internet's
chat?
shoddy. Let's do some supers, do some ads.
Let me just see if there's any
Talk to the audience.
Any specific Cameron questions. I don't think there are. No, there aren't. So I guess if you want to go to bed, you want to go blanky mode.
I'll tell you what. I'll stay until my internet dies, and that probably will be very
And then
long.
that'll just be the last one. Okay. All right. Well, get your last minute super chats in. And of course, if you ever do want to go blankie mode, you can go to our friends at ODGG Supply. They sell blankies. They've got a whole section of blankies. They've got all kinds of used and new military surplus equipment that is battle tested from the field. It's the best place to go if you want to get yourself equipped for any kind of a collapse type situation. They're our preferred source for legit domestic and foreign military surplus. It's gear that's been proven in conflicts across the globe and is ready for your next adventure. The guys at ODGG Supply put the gear through its paces so you can count on quality. Next time you are in the field, they use gear from all over Europe and the Cold War to modern U.S. military, from the global war on terror, from blankies to rucksacks, tools to clothes. ODGG Supply, more than any other military surplus store, focuses on the functional gear that you need to thrive in the field. Visit ODGG Supply on YouTube, on X, and on Instagram at ODGG_supply or PNW Gorilla for the latest updates, sales, and newish inventory. And if you use promo code Backlash25, you'll get free shipping on all U.S. orders. So ODGGsupply.com. And with that, we will start doing some of these super chats. First one is up, and it's weird. We got it yesterday from Queensboro Bridge Enjoyer. And it's kind of weird because he says, great Nixon discussion. Are any of you familiar with the 1991 silent coup book about Watergate? The conclusion, John Dean ordered the break-in to hide proof his future wife was a DC call girl. The CIA, FBI, MI6 then used the media to destroy Nixon.
If true, that seems like such a small thing.
That's
these
crazy,
days.
but like we weren't talking about Nixon. We should.
You didn't on Monday at all?
No.
Oh.
No. And this was we got this on January 6th.
Interesting.
The show was on January 5th. So Queensboro Bridge Enjoyer, I think you might have sent this to the wrong channel. He also sent another $10 super chat. Gordon Liddy, one of the burglars, endorsed silent coup, saying his part in the book was accurate. He also mentioned that they had planned on using the DC call girl info until they just saw as many GOP clients as Democrats, much like the Epstein case today.
That wouldn't even be a blackmailable offense these days.
Not anymore. I mean, you remember when politicians couldn't get elected if they were divorced?
Yeah.
Reagan destroyed that whole thing. So, you know. And then Queensboro Bridge Enjoyer with a super chat today. Many people are saying that Blonde's absence on Monday, the same day Tim Walz, where did it go? The same way Tim Walz withdrew from the 2026 Minnesota's governor's race is not a coincidence. Has future governor Will Stansel, the Peter Steele of Twitter, chosen Blonde to be his Susie Wiles?
Oh, Peter Steele died on January 4th, so I commemorated him this year.
Who's Peter Steele? Bro.
The lead singer of legendary band Type O Negative.
I don't listen to that.
We have been through this so many times.
Maybe.
The most beautiful
right.
man.
Yeah. So anyway, we need to bully Will Stansel more.
Yeah.
He could totally win an election. If he ran for governor of Minnesota, you would see like the Nazis and the far left come together.
Did you see that Emily Yuka's tweet? It's like, every day I wake up and think that I can't bully Will Stansel anymore, and every day
I prove myself
wrong.
Grok has been going unprompted. He's been going unprompted making Will Stansel memes. It's
Mecha Hitler.
It's pretty fun. Mecha Hitler lives. Phil sent $100.
Aw, thanks, Phil.
Happy New Year and keep up the good work. Thank you.
We love you,
very
Phil.
much.
Thank you.
Book Track Groove sent $10. Why do bees always have sticky hair? They use honeycombs.
Ah!
Rebecca, have made phone calls to Venezuela and talked to the people? David, do you have a notepad? Cheers.
No, but I did watch a lot of videos of people in Venezuela, from Venezuela. So I tried to really understand this issue. I'm no expert. I'm not Cameron, but I tried to understand this issue to the greatest of my ability.
Yes. I use moleskin notebooks. I'm very posh. You know what a moleskin notebook is, right? Yeah, so that's what I use. Anyway, yeah, I saw Book Track Grooves. By the way, he also, we saw your super chat about asking whether or not Mr. Fishback was a Christian. He is Catholic, but we couldn't shoehorn it in at that moment. It was, here's the actual question. Fishback, are you Christian? What was King David's biggest mistake? What are your thoughts on compulsory education? Should it be removed? No fault divorce thoughts. We only had 30 minutes with him, so unfortunately, maybe he'll come back on. Maybe when we get a little bit closer to the primary, we can we'll find out more about him. Listen, if Nick comes out and endorses him, then all bets are off. But I doubt that. I doubt that we'll see that happen. But anyway, yes, he is Catholic, and King David's biggest mistake was obviously screwing around with Bathsheba. Should not have committed adultery, buddy. That was wrong. Robert sent $25. Blonde, guess who I am? I'm not here to beg. I'm here to provide value. Please help me, pretty please. Oh. Watching his show slowly disappear like his hairline must be oh so sweet. Also, Cameron's movie recommendation, Virus, was a fun 2000s horror flick.
Oh, I should watch that. But Wag the Dog, that's what I'm going to watch tonight.
Dude, everybody here needs to watch Wag the Dog.
I've never seen it. I'm so excited.
I cannot believe I've seen that at least 30 times. It's a fantastic movie. Fantastic.
You've seen it 30 times?
Yeah.
That's like more than I've seen Groundhog Day.
Yeah. I was also watching The Godfather again this past weekend.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I watched it, Godfather 3, and then 2, and then 1. I watched it backwards.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
I heard 3 is terrible. I've never seen it.
No. There's a recut. There's a recut of Godfather 3 that came out in 2020, and it's way better. It makes way more sense. If you're going to watch it, watch the, is it called Martin Puzo's Godfather 3 Coda, whatever. Very good.
Regarding the first part of that super chat.
Let the record show that I think Godfather 2 is better than Godfather 1.
Yes,
but
I
most
agree
people
with that.
do.
I agree with that. Yep. I think so.
Should I talk about it?
Go ahead. It's your show. It's your show. Get a close up.
Everybody knows that I had a spectacular falling out with my podcast co-host of 10 years about a year ago. And today he made a video just like begging for donations, saying that his family can't live on less than $120,000 a year. I couldn't help myself, even though my mom was like, it's not classy. Just don't say. She's like, did you already tweet about it? And I'm like, fuck yes, I already tweeted about it. And so my tweet says,
I'll pull it up.
For $5 a month, you can help this Jewish family make $120,000 a year.
You gotta wait for me to pull it up. And then it'll have.
I just can't help myself. The starving Jewish family reached their minimum necessary annual income of $120,000 a year. In the video, he says he regrets nothing, and that this is not his fault, and it's just that he's become stale, and then he begs for donations in a way that's more desperate than the way that we beg for donations, I think.
Yeah.
Which we do.
By the way, we got a big donation from our friend Matt from Wenatchee, who sent us, I don't think you can read it. I don't want you to read it. So, but thank you for the big donation. This is like the 4th or 5th one that he sent us. If you want to send us a check in the mail from your bank, you can do that.
You absolutely can.
At P.O. Box 853, Post Falls, Idaho 83877. We've also got a giant stack. I don't know if you can see it, but we've got like a giant stack of boxes that we're going to get to here in a moment.
See, there are 3 of us, so we need $360,000.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
So, you know, make sure you send in your donations.
Absolutely. Kenzie says that a Twitter space at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific this Friday sounds great. Okay. So if you're watching this, keep an eye out. We will post that up on the Backlash X account. And that way, and we'll do it in a way that's less chaotic, and we'll be able to bring people up one at a time, and they can get their questions answered. And maybe Cameron can even join us too. Don't know what his schedule is like. Yes. Quality Leering Center sent $25. Shiloh says you need an N when you spell learning. That's really good. Very true, you do. Over on Entropy, we got some super chats. Risk It for the Biscuit sent $10. What should we say to tax lawyer to justify deductions as a result of the billions in assisted living fraud discovered nationwide? This option is worth exploring.
Yeah, really.
Absolutely. Get a tax lawyer. Get a
Don't try
CPA.
anything on your own, though, because...
Don't just not pay your taxes. You
Yeah,
will get your
unfortunately. Although it's possible when we die, God's like, you pay taxes into...
evil satanic American
evil
system.
satanic abortion supporting United States government.
We do have video of exactly what happens to white people when they don't pay their taxes. So I'm going to play that for you.
It's not the John Hamm clip that I can't stop watching, even though it's like a month old.
Dude, the John Hamm clip is so good. Hold on, where is this? How far back is it?
See, that's a meme that even Cameron recognizes. Give it up, Dave.
Oh no, I can't give it up.
You've got to. Give it up.
It went viral. How is it not coming up on my feed? What is it? What are you talking about?
On my feed.
Where is it?
Machel Shalom. What is it called? I always
Machon Shiloh. Oh yeah, here it is. POV. This is 5 seconds after a white guy doesn't pay his taxes.
FBI, open up!
That audio is the beginning of Legal Man's excellent podcast, The Quash.
Yes. So yeah, that is what will happen to you if you don't pay your taxes. I'm not simping for the IRS. I don't want you to pay your taxes, but you have to.
You got to.
But you can be smart about how you pay your taxes.
Yeah.
Get a CPA, get a tax lawyer, and if you need recommendations and are in the Pacific Northwest area, boy, have I got some recommendations for you. Send an email to info@thebacklash.net. We will make sure that you pay as little in taxes as legally possible. How about that?
Yep.
Is that a good way to go?
Of course.
Paulie B sent $15. I find your suggestion about voting local but not federal amusing, Dave, because I came up with the same exact idea independently. Trump's going to put in irons and I'm going to laugh. Trump's going to be put in irons and I'm going to laugh. The GOP is the greatest obstacle to real politics in this country, and I'm tired of pretending they're not. 07, y'all. Well, thank you. Yeah. Sometimes there's just thoughts in the air and they percolate.
Yeah.
And there was a time actually when Prince was recording Purple Rain, he called his engineers at 2 o'clock in the morning and asked them to come out to his studio immediately because he needed to record. And the engineers, they showed up and they started recording, Purple Rain. And after they finished recording the song, they asked him, why did you need us out here at 2 o'clock in the morning? And he said, I had a dream that Michael Jackson had the same idea for this song and I wanted to record it before him. And there's something like to that, like an idea whose time has come, and you got to jump on it. So anyway.
Or Prince was on drugs, which we know he was.
Or Prince was on drugs. Kurgan, 86 and $50.
Hey.
Hope you are all doing well. I will catch you on replay tonight.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Do you have super chats on yours?
I sure do.
Okay.
Purple Rain.
Great song.
Purple Rain. Okay.
His engineer was my teacher back in college, by the way.
Really?
Yeah, Susan Rogers.
Cool.
She's very, very fine. She also did Bare Naked Ladies.
I always liked the Bare Naked Ladies. Don't tell anybody.
Yeah.
Except I just told all of you. M. Goat says, welcome, James. Wish you all the best. God bless. Sorry we kind of took a big dump on him.
Of course he did.
$11 cheese. Disappointing how people like Fuentes, who know full well the whole government is Zionist, are cheering on this Maduro nonsense as if they let the heritage Americans do this one thing. It's nonsense. I know this has been something of a litmus test for people.
Yeah, don't let this become a wedge issue. We've got...
Oh, we absolutely should let this become a wedge issue. People are revealing their mental retardation on this, and we're just going to get whittled down to like 5 people that can be trusted.
Yeah, and then we're going to get nothing done.
Yeah, but I mean, good Lord. It's another culling. It's like COVID. It's
Yeah.
like, are you retarded?
There has been a lot of people though that are like outing themselves as like brown third world,
Yeah.
like these leftists that like just woke up after 23 with Gaza, and it's like, stop,
No.
nope.
Ray Finkel. I don't like the sound of that. Silver stacking will be called anti-symmetric.
Anti-symmetric. Let's see.
Jacob Winkleman, how many Jews do we have throwing money at us?
Speaking of Jews, I forgot. I got you a Christmas present.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, hold on a second.
Okay.
I can get it really
Glad
quickly.
you guys clocked Fishback. He seems like a used car salesman. He leaned into cruelty a bit much for me in the Owen interview. I hope I'm wrong.
Owen Schroyer.
Oh, he's too smooth in interviews. He was very
Bro,
smooth.
he came on like a skin suit.
Yeah.
Like he went from like looking like kind of tired, and then he just perked right up with these answers that were perfect.
Yeah.
And it was a little
just perfect.
Perfect.
Have you guys seen Parks and Rec?
Yeah.
Okay, there's this scene in one of the later seasons where April and Ben are working for this politician who they think is a robot because he just sits in his office all day, and they do all these tests, but he does the same thing. He just like pops up and gives perfectly delivered, slick answers.
Yeah.
And I kind of felt it was a little skin suity.
Little skin suity.
Yeah.
Little uncomfortable. Okay, so anyway, Merry Christmas, Rebecca. Happy New Year. There's your Christmas present.
Chocolate bonbons. Wait, this is Jewish. Seattle Chocolate presents an assortment. I see.
Those are Hanukkah chocolates.
Oh, do you think they're
little,
yummy?
I think they're like little dreidels.
I'm gonna eat one.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm fasting all day. I'm starving. Thank you, Dave.
We've also got a present.
Coconut Island. No, get right.
We've got a present from Mojack.
Hey.
And that's addressed to you. There's
Coconut.
arsenic in there. So,
Mojack would never.
Oh.
Can I have a knife or something?
You don't need a knife. It's got, oh yeah, you do. You want, here, I've got a little knife you can use. Just a little knife.
You want me to cut towards myself, right?
No, you cut away. You cut away from
Just
yourself.
joking.
Uh-huh. Got to get a Bowie knife. This has a deer antler on the end. It's, got to give a big shout out to Buck Knives. Big shout out to Buck Knives. They're based here.
Wait, am I retarded? Give
in
that to me
Post Falls,
again.
Idaho. Here, do you want me to help you?
Yeah.
Here, look, I'll just.
Well, I'm looking at the chocolate.
Oh, son of a bitch. Maybe I'm retarded.
Creme brulee.
too.
Thank you,
go.
Jews.
You can rip it now.
Thanks.
Nice. What do we got?
All right, what we got?
What's that?
This looks a little Third Reichy.
What are we looking at here?
If this is a big, should I unfurl this?
Oh, I know what that is.
Carry your creativity.
And a white privilege card. Wow. Look at that.
I don't know what this is.
That's a white privilege card.
Oh, thank you, buddy. Does this have a swastika on it?
Yes,
Because if
it
it does, I
does.
can't hold it up.
Yep, we cannot.
Oh.
We cannot. But look at that. That's
I am so gonna hide this
that
for my
looks
husband.
original.
It is original.
You can hide it in my house.
Can I get the little iron cross up there?
You can hide it in my house. Yeah, no, take it down. Take it down. We also got,
Mojack, you're the best.
we also got a package here, and I believe I know.
This is
who
I gotta
sent
find out.
this. Let me just double check. I forget. I want to make sure I got the right name. Come on, you. Come on. It's not popping up in my feed. But
Oh, this is so good. Do you want one?
no, I've got a nicotine thing in. Let's see. DJ. Maybe if I do that, because I'm pretty sure that that's what this is. Oh yeah. So I think this came from Matt, the guy that sent the check.
Matt
And I'm
Platt.
pretty sure. No. All right. Hold on. Yeah. All right. Yes. A gift from Matt. And is there like a super chat in here? Because there usually is. But we know what this is, and we got one already. The DJI on the road mic, so we can go do.
Amazing.
Yeah, we can go do like girl on the street interviews this summer, which I'm looking forward to
Do
doing.
we have to call it that?
But yeah, so thank you very much for this. We will work out what to do with that, and we also got a package from Boss Riverdale. Does that ring a bell? I don't feel like I've seen any super chats from Boss Riverdale, but here we are.
You really should be opening these ahead of time.
I know. There could be a bomb in here. But maybe not. Let's.
Why are these like the best chocolates I've ever had?
Really? Mm-hmm. Look at this. Minnesota Star Tribune. Let's see if I can hold this up. First Pope from the U.S. Very nice, commemorative. And what else do we have here? I think that's just packaging. There's a letter. Turn the Ship Around by David Marquette. The true story of turning followers into leaders. A book.
There you go.
And also some chocolate oranges,
Oh, this is so sweet.
which I love.
2,000
And-
miles, Rebecca Rand's orange-flavored chocolate gift. This orange-flavored chocolate traveled long and fast for me. This is a tradition to get one of these every year for Christmas as a reminder of the blood, sweat, and tears and soil moved to build the roads and tunnels for the transport of these goods.
Very nice.
Thank you so much.
Oh, it's... Hold on.
During the Depression, oranges were sometimes the only gift people received under their Christmas tree.
Aw. Yeah, I love the chocolate oranges. They're so good. We get one too.
Man, I love our audience so
And then
much.
yeah, this is great. This is a book about leadership. Very nice. And a can of 100% pure pumpkin. Thank you very much. You can have one of those, obviously. They're not both mine.
How do you open these? I haven't gotten one of these since I was a kid.
You have to slam
smash
it.
them?
You have to smash it on the ground.
Do I have to do it on the ground? Can I do it on the
concrete
table?
floor? I mean, you can, sure.
Right.
Absolutely. Let's take a double check and see if we've gotten any new super chats. Woo! Oh yeah, that's hot stuff.
You guys are so adorable. You know that?
Get back in the States. Look at that perfection.
Oh yeah.
I did it.
Oh yeah. I'm not. I can't. I've had wine. That's my sugar for the day.
I'm good on my end.
Yeah, if you're good on super chats, I think we're good on super chats over here. Thank you everybody for the big show. Mr. Fishback for coming on. That was fantastic.
Don't we have 2 more ads?
Oh yeah, never mind. Hello, what are we talking about?
Cameron, get out of here.
How could I possibly?
All right, guys. Have a good night.
God
Bye,
bless.
I'm so excited for our interview on Monday.
We are interviewing
Thomas
Thomas
Rousseau.
Rousseau from Patriot Front. And then I also think that we're going to have J.D. Hall. You remember that one of my first Dave After Darks or whatever? J.D. Hall came on. He just published a new book with Joel Webbin called
way.
The Hyphenated Heresy, going after Judeo-Christianity.
Do these taste like cigarettes?
No, it doesn't smell like cigarettes.
Am I having a stroke?
Yes, definitely having a stroke.
Okay, this is what happens when you fast and then somebody puts a bunch of chocolate in front of your face.
But yeah, the book, The Hyphenated Heresy, is now out on Amazon, Judeo-Christianity. And so this was written by Joel Webbin and J.D. Hall. And I think we're going to have him on the show later this month. So stay tuned for that. That'll be very big, very nice. And in the meantime, we've got to give a big shout out to our other sponsor, Idaho Tallow, North Idaho Tallow Company at idahotallow.com. They've got a new special going on, a limited time Valentine's gift box. So for all of the men out there that are courting nice, fine young women, you want to grease the skids a little bit. Does that work? I mean, listen, you could get her flowers, but really, you could get her something much nicer than flowers. It'll help her skin look radiant and beautiful without any, oh my God, without any endocrine disruptors.
Does this orange smell like cigarettes?
This is the best ad ever. So get your limited time Valentine's gift box. The order cutoff date is going to be the end of the month. So you have between now and the end of January to purchase one of these fine gift sets. Truly tremendous, the best in the business. My wife and I sent a bunch of Idaho Tallow stuff to our friends. And what people have been coming back, it's just like, this is like literally the best shit ever. Where can I buy more?
I know, it's amazing.
The texture is so good. And yeah, it's handcrafted in Idaho, quality stuff with grass-fed beef. It does, in fact, make a difference. They've got a Soap of the Month Club, a You Pick soap bundle. They've got all of their different scents. You will feel radiant and beautiful if you're a woman and if you're a guy, you're not gonna turn gay because it's not made out of petroleum byproduct.
True.
I actually used, for the first time, I must say, some of the balm, the tallow balm. I used it after I shaved today.
Oh.
And look, I totally razor burned myself. And it doesn't really look like that anymore. So go to idahotallow.com, get your Valentine's gift box. Also, got to give a big shout out to Antelope Hill Publishing. They are fighting the anti-white regime and equipping you with information and knowledge that you need to equip this new generation of dissidents to fight. They have a varied catalog, including a newly updated and expanded third edition of Dr. Kevin MacDonald's Culture of Critique, the essential modern text on Jewish identity. Dr. Ricardo Duchesne's magnum opus, Greatness and Ruin. It's a definitive scholarly examination of European exceptionalism, as well as books by Kerry Bolton, Paul Kersey, and Josh Neal. Antelope Hill recently brought David Irving's iconic Nuremberg the Last Battle into print and have numerous translations of historical works from eras such as Fascist Italy, National Socialist Germany, and Civil War Spain, previously unavailable in English. There are also plenty of books on contemporary issues such as transgenderism, the opioid crisis, and Christian nationalism, as well as history books, novels, and children's books. So whatever your interest is, you're bound to find books that you like at Antelope Hill, all professionally published with sleek modern cover art. Help us and help our people by checking out companies that share our values and fight for our cause. Visit Antelope Hill Publishing today. And also, Above Time Coffee Roasters. They've been powering my mornings. And listen, this has been white power. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
We're going to get an email from them. Stop.
Above Time Coffee Roasters, they are amazing, small, hand-roasted, small batch, organic, fair trade coffee company. They are explicitly pro-white, and the coffee is absolutely amazing. I drink it black, and it's not like, it'll put hair on your chest. No, it's very smooth, balanced, good tasting. I've been drinking the Nordic Blonde. It's absolutely fantastic. You can get yours online at abovetimecoffee.com and use promo code Backlash10. You'll get 10% off your order. That's abovetimecoffee.com.
Wait, before we go, did I tell you that it looks like this St. Louis thing is actually going to happen?
Oh, dear God, really?
I know.
Hey, listen, I'm not sure if I'm going to make it.
What?
I might go to Europe that week with my parents.
April 11th. You have
April
to
11th?
April 11th.
Okay.
Okay.
February, March, April. Is that after? It's like right after Easter, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
You got to come.
We'll figure it out. It'll be great.
And I have been nagging Devin Stack into doing an appearance, an IRL appearance. And I think once he gets over the Euro trash AIDS that he has right now or whatever.
Euro trash AIDS.
He's got some plague from being in Europe.
Oh, he went to Europe.
Once I think that I'm going to be able to nag him into this. It's looking really good. I got Basil, Lauren Chen. I've been wearing down Pete Quinones too, so that's looking good. Jay Dyer is in.
Nice.
I Hypocrite.
Dude, that's going to be a big thing.
Yes,
that could be
I
a
know.
huge thing, especially if
And
they're all promoting it.
it looks like I've got a venue.
Oh, really?
Yes.
This is good.
So if you're interested in coming to that, please shoot me a DM at blondes_tweets.
Or an email at info@thebacklash.net.
Or on Instagram, you can find me at blondebeast1. Shoot me a DM so that I can get like a head count because the venue is I think it fits 150.
Oh, wow. So that'll be a very exclusive thing. You're going to have
Really?
to...
I was thinking that was huge. I was like, are we going to be able to sell all these tickets?
You have to buy your tickets early.
Maybe. It's my biggest fear. I'm already having nightmares about this being a terrible failure.
It'll be fun.
It'll be fine. Okay. It's okay.
Don't even put that energy into the universe.
So if you're interested in coming
Visualize.
so that I can get some kind of head count and get maybe some discounts on tickets or something like that, please contact me. I am painfully available.
Yes.
I'm like the easiest person to get a hold of on the internet. Check us out on Monday with Thomas Rousseau. This is going to be awesome. Cameron is going to be back in the States soon, so his internet's going to be better.
Yes.
But yeah, thank you so much, Replay Gang. We appreciate it. If you've stuck with us live, we really appreciate it.
And just again, like, not to get back into it or whatever, but like, look at this. We didn't really talk about this. This is Venezuela's stock market. Like now. And so like we talk about collapse, we talk about how the dollar is like fucked and it's not good. This is more likely what will happen. It's not like we're going to fall off a cliff. We're going to melt up. We're going to see asset prices like
Melt
gold
up,
and silver. They will melt up and it'll be crazy. So do that. And don't forget, we did have somebody went to our friends over at Blockstream. Somebody bought a Bitcoin wallet using our link.
Amazing.
By the way, all of our links are available on our website. You can go to affiliate links right here and you can buy Bitcoin. You can buy books, beef snacks. We've got a little book club, which you still haven't put any books on that, but all right.
What am I going to do? Tell the audience to read Dostoevsky and Pride and Prejudice?
Thomas Sowell. Read Thomas Sowell.
Okay.
All right. Anyway.
Deal.
All right. I think that does it. That was a pretty good show.
This is the Backlash. Follow us on X at Real Backlash. Find all of our links on the backlash.net/subscribe. We love you. Thank you so much for making this show happen. And
Merry
we will
Christmas.
see you. Merry Christmas. We'll see you on Monday. Bye-bye.
No. We'll see you on Friday for a Twitter
for the Twitter space
with Kenzie from Atlas Bullion.
Yep.
And with that, I've taken all the wind out of your sails.
I know. So yeah.